Hello everyone, and welcome. Before I get sidetracked by just babbling on, and you will notice under stream information, if I've done this correctly, that the category is just chatting, because for the first hour and a half or so of the stream, at least in terms of what I have planned, we're not going to be playing Bloodborne just yet. And the reason for that is, for those who saw the video on YouTube I posted, the channel update announcing this stream, this is probably not news because I obviously explained all of this in that video, but for anyone else who's just tuning in, we have quite a few activities planned, and we're going to engage in a discussion for a little bit. Mostly I'm going to ramble about this channel, why I created it, some of the reasons for doing so, and explain, because I have, to some degree, many of these things I've explained elsewhere in a very scattered and unorganized fashion, and today is likewise very scattered and unorganized. In terms of our itinerary, intro and greetings, that's what we're doing now. We're already about 10 minutes behind. And then for the next hour, the hour or so after that, we're going to be discussing the prehistory of the channel. I've prepared several lightly edited videos to aid in that, and that's actually what we're looking at here is a playlist containing this itinerary interspersed with actual videos. And then I'm going to try and take a break. So we'll see if I can make up some time in the break. I don't know that I'll need a full 15 minutes, but we'll see. And then after, before the break, ask Aegon almost anything. So, I don't know, I didn't want to say ask Aegon anything, because usually when people do AMAs and stuff, yeah, Aegon lore, indeed. Usually when people do AMAs and stuff on Reddit, they don't actually mean ask me anything. It's one of those things that, at least where I seem to recall, was a thing in the beginning, which was, you can ask me some things, but there's some things obviously, people are, that's personal, can't really talk about that. But, I toyed around for a while with the idea of doing a series where I sort of answer frequently asked questions, but I figured, I don't know when or if that will ever happen, but in the meantime, if you all want to ask me some questions, then after we do the prehistory of the channel discussion, then we can talk about that. Then we'll do a brief break. I don't know if I'll need 15 minutes, but when we get back from that, we can do Bloodborne. And so I have listed here casual playthrough and or unique chalice glyphs. I was originally just planning on creating a new build and just sort of playing through, I don't know how far we'll get, maybe Central Yharnam, and maybe a little bit of Cathedral Ward or something. But unfortunately, I can't stream all night just because, whereas in the past I used to stay up till 3, 4, or 5 in the morning on a routine basis, I'm now actually on a pretty consistent sleep schedule because my fiance works every morning at like 8:30, so I'm up every morning with her. So 11 p.m. Even going to 11 p.m. is going to be a challenge for me because I start falling asleep at about 10 now. After we do some chalice glyphs or a Bloodborne playthrough for a little while, we're going to take another brief break. And then the Trayshman will join us for either some Bloodborne co-op and or some lore Q&A. We haven't exactly decided on that yet. But it will, I guess, once again, depend on what everyone in the chat wants to do. So that's what we have planned anyway for the stream. So we might as well get started with the channel prehistory. So I created this whole frame which had a video sort of on the left. In case anyone is not aware, and I guess this is the first little nugget of info that you might not have known up to this point. The logo for the Aegon of Astora YouTube channel, and I guess for Twitch as well, is essentially just my Xbox Live avatar on the Xbox 360, and it's essentially just, I took a photo. It was like my display photo or whatever, and that became, because it has the elite knight armor, which was Aegon of Astora. So that's it. And I created this video where he's just sort of like, moving around and fidgeting and stuff, which is very true to who I am. But it resulted in some frame drops because inside of this frame here, I have some videos that I'm going to show you. But I figured in addition, so I converted it to a static image, but I'm actually thinking now that we probably just want to watch it full screen. So this first video will be muted anyway. And it's essentially a compilation of the title cards from my former YouTube channel. So insofar as we are to split the prehistory of the channel into sort of periods, this is the prehistory for my old YouTube channel, which was under my full name. And the series, which was at the center of the channel, so I guess my former Let's Talk Lore, the flagship series for the channel, was called the Carl Sagan Tribute Series. And I don't know if Aaron is in the chat, but Aaron, one of the mods and a longtime viewer of the channel, actually, is one of the few people who were aware of this. And even just looking at this, well, I'm going to go back here to this title card here. Because, I feel like in some ways I've become a much, much, much better video editor than I ever was before. And these are very different videos than those that I create now, which, I'm obviously at the center of the videos I do now. But back then, I essentially took old audiobook chapters and episodes of a TV series called Cosmos starring Carl Sagan and edited it together because they were all really old. So Cosmos aired in 1979, 1980, and he had an audiobook because for those of you who aren't aware, Carl Sagan was a famous astronomer, the first astronomer celebrity essentially. And he had a TV show on PBS called Cosmos, 1979, 1980, which for a time was the most widely viewed public documentary series in history. And so I wasn't really into science at all when I was growing up. And I'm already telling three stories at once here. I'll get to this title card in 1 second, but I was not at all interested in science growing up. Well, I'm glad you find it interesting, Smotown, because it's the history of the channel is intertwined with my own sort of personal history. So I apologize to anyone who is like, why the heck is he just talking about himself? But I really can't talk about the channel as being separate from who I am. So that's why we're talking about this. And yeah, so growing up, I just, it was school in general. I didn't quite, I mentioned earlier that I write backwards. That's true in several different respects, in that I've never really thought like my peers, or I never really worked like my peers. I always did things differently, did things in my own way. And it wasn't until grad school when I realized like I shouldn't care. I should just do my own thing to the greatest extent possible. And that was often very, very difficult to accomplish. And so it was, I stopped taking science or science-related classes in grade 10, which I would have been something like 14 or 15 years old. And yet, I am probably something like 4 or 5 months away from getting a PhD in science and technology studies. So how did that happen? Is, the answer to that question is bound up together with the history of this channel. So getting around finally to this title card here, I'm a much better video editor in several respects than I was when I was creating these old videos, which once again were all essentially recreations, about 10 or 15 minutes in length on average, recreations of old audio video material of Carl Sagan talking about science and astronomy and the world and things like that. And so I wanted to my idea was I wanted to bring it to a new generation. And I've always adored, and maybe one day we'll do a really deep dive into my sort of historical video editing, or, the history of my having made videos essentially my whole life from the time I was very young together with my siblings. But this is as far back as we're going to go today, which is 2009, when I didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do. I was not at all passionate or interested in the things I was doing, which was to say studying business in community college in 2009, because I didn't have the grades to get into university. And on the side, I started making these videos, which were essentially recreations of this old material from Carl Sagan, who passed away in 1996. So hence the name Carl Sagan Tribute Series. It was me paying tribute to him. And so I was really taken aback while editing together this thing containing just the title cards at some of the techniques that I used were really, really advanced. So like this one, the Edge of Forever title card, this one's I'm not a huge fan of this one, but the Edge of Forever, you can see it's actually a mask. The way the text fades in and the pattern on the inside of the text. It says device is ready, LifeCam cinema is set up and ready to go. So these are all, several of these title cards contain techniques that I don't really use anymore because A, they're very, very complicated, and B, I actually use worse video editing software now than I did back then. And so I think in total, there were, I want to say 24 installments of this series, each one about 10 minutes in length. And at a certain point, as you'll see, and the other really cool thing about several of these videos, which if you search on YouTube today, Carl Sagan Tribute Series, you won't find these videos on my old channel, but you will find them because other people have re-uploaded them. And based on, and this one here, Star Stuff, like just tremendous, or at least tremendously complicated. This one here too, which I tried for time travelers to give a sense of there actually being time dilation. Some of them are better than others. Some of them certainly I was more inspired than others. But yeah, I made a ton of installments of this. One or two of the videos reached 1 million views, and in total I had about 15,000 subscribers, I think. And then, as you'll see, when it got to a certain point, and again, this is over. Oh, and this one probably took the longest of them all, maybe. There were a couple that are missing. There's one I made that was like a choose your own adventure video. Yes, Lelvspien, just, search on YouTube for Carl Sagan Tribute Series. This is, I think, the third last one I made. This one would have been in about 2013. This one also, I think, 2012, 2013, something like that. That one was made to a 3-movement choral suite that one of my former viewers put together, or one of the viewers of that channel. And then this was the last one I did right here, February 2013, because that. So, very, very disappointing. Because, as I mentioned earlier on, it wasn't until I was in community college studying business administration that I sort of rediscovered science. I went through elementary school and high school not really caring about what I was being taught when science was the subject. And then suddenly when I'm studying business, I just sort of, in part because of Carl Sagan, I ended up, becoming crazy over it. And you can even see here. So I guess I'll show you a couple of things. Where are we here? So this might be very shaky. I apologize for that. So you can see up here, this is the Hubble Deep Field. So some of you might recognize that from when I talked about my theory for the sort of cosmology of Dark Souls 3 and the worlds colliding. We talked about that image. And then down here, you can see what is sort of my Carl Sagan shelf. I have, or at least at one point had, essentially all of his books. Read most of them, not all of them, but read most of them. And and in part because I had read so many of his books, I was, I think, pretty faithful in sort of creating these 10-minute videos, which pretty faithful to the original intent of his message. That isn't to say that, because of course I now know, based on, you know, my grad school studies and whatnot, that in the act of creating those videos, I was sort of emphasizing certain messages and maybe minimizing others. And it wasn't long after I started grad school, like my first year during my master's, I wrote probably like 4 or 5 essays on Carl Sagan, because he's a very interesting figure within the history of science, in that he's remembered very fondly now, but at the time he was kind of a pariah, because it wasn't proper to speak to the public about science, because it's the public, they don't know what they're talking about. They're not scientists. And so, you know, it really got to the core of what my field was about. But I started grad school under the basis of this sort of image of science that is a very idealized and naive vision of science painted by Carl Sagan, as sort of communicated through all of those books. And so I owe him tremendously for getting me into science again, for sort of reigniting my interest in it. But on the other hand, I don't necessarily, it's not that I don't share his vision of what science is and how it ought to, like what place it ought to have in society anymore. But it is because of him, because of the inspiration I drew from his work, that I'm here. And that's what makes this tremendously disappointing, and what made it tremendously disappointing. Because I feel like if I had the time and if I had the money, which I didn't, because this was in February of 2014. I was in the midst of my first full year of my PhD, which I started in September 2013. And I made a video. It was called "And Still They Move," and it was about, it was actually not narrated by Carl Sagan, but by his late wife, Andrienne, who's actually his third wife. But she is a pretty cool and smart lady, and she did an interview on Radiolab talking about their relationship and talking about the Voyager Golden Record and how it sort of exemplified their relationship and their romance together. And I don't know if it was that because it was a very recent thing that it sort of triggered something for the Sagan estate, that like they saw, okay, there's this video here, and then they saw, oh, Carl Sagan tribute series. And like I never made a dime from the videos. I did it all just for the sake of the content. I did it all for, you know, my belief in that particular vision and conception of science that I thought I wanted to share with other people. And if I had the time and if I had the money, I 100%, I think, would have a very strong case. So not 100%, but I think I would have a very strong case in arguing in court that my usage of the content constitutes fair use. There's a 4-factor balancing test. I'm not going to get into it, but one of the factors is, you know, one of the most important ones is, does it destroy the market for the original? And I would argue not only does it not destroy the market for the original, but my videos actually enhanced the market for the original, because some of the videos that I made, 2 of them in particular, got over 1 million views. And so if, you know, there had to have been at least some portion of the people of those millions of views who had never heard about Carl Sagan, but then went and checked out his work after the fact because of that. So that was really disappointing. And so my perspective on the matter at that time was, well, you know, I don't really subscribe to this understanding of science anymore anyway. And, you know, I'm really annoyed that because my idea at the time, and maybe it was just sort of a naive perspective on Carl Sagan, who for a long time was my idol. Like, he wouldn't do that. He would understand that it was, that I meant well and that I wasn't trying to infringe on copyright or whatever. But, it sort of spooked me at the same time because I didn't have any money. I had no ability or resources to defend myself in court. So I still today have a YouTube channel that just sort of is lying dormant with over 10,000 subscribers because, when this happened, I released a video talking about it and sort of explaining the situation and why I couldn't fight it and why I was choosing not to. And I had plans to sort of, because, I've always made videos and I've always enjoyed making videos. And I thought, I wrote this really tremendous essay about, or at least an essay I thought was tremendous about Carl Sagan and about his place within the broader scientific community. And I wanted to do it, but again, just lacking time and, because of all of this stuff, lacking motivation, I decided not to pursue it. So, as I will have mentioned elsewhere, my first year in grad school was especially tough. And I guess all 7 of the years that I spent in grad school, I'm technically not in grad school now just because I'm finishing my dissertation, not registered, but the entirety of grad school was very tough for me. But the first few years, much more so than the rest of it. And during that time, I must have, especially during my master's, I must have seemed like a sick puppy to a lot of my my fellow grad students. And my program's not very big. I think there were 8 in my master's cohort and only 4 in my PhD cohort. So of the people in my master's cohort, there was one person who was a little bit older, a very accomplished gentleman named Bill, who he is actually, he's actually an accomplished author and he teaches and he does all this other stuff that, like, he didn't need to come to grad school, but he decided that he wanted to anyway because he writes about science, so what better to study than science and technology studies? And, as I mentioned, I must have looked like a sick puppy dog because one day he invited me over because, I didn't really... I was friendly with people, and I'm always friendly with people, but I've always sort of been a loner in the sense, not a loner, that's probably not the right way of putting it. I have a very small circle of friends, very, very small circle of friends. And at that point in time was more or less just the Trayshman, my best friend Marco, and my little brother Evan. I have 3 brothers and a sister. I'm very close with my family in general, but excuse me. And so, I didn't really hang out with anyone, but one day I guess I looked particularly like a sick puppy because my friend Bill, who, as I mentioned, he's a bit older. He has a wife and 2 kids and, they own a house and he's, fully fledged adult like I, intend to be one day. He invited me over to his house for dinner and I was like, okay, yeah, sure. That would be tremendous because again, it just was not taking very good care of myself at the time. I was still getting used to living on my own. I was combating some very severe depression, anxiety, and an assortment of other issues. I didn't have the creative outlet that my YouTube channel previously provided, in part because of this. Because of copyright claims and all of that stupid nonsense. So I went over to Bill's house and, we had dinner. It was really nice. And he has 2 kids. They were both like one of whom was around, like 2 or 3 years younger than me. So around my age approximately. And after dinner, his wife says to me, you should go, Rowan, like one of his sons, Rowan has been playing this game called Dark Souls. You should go check it out. So this would have been late 2012, early 2013. But I'm like, okay, I'll go check out this Dark Souls game. At the time, my primary game of choice, like with the Trayshman and my little brother, we were playing still, I think it was Halo 4 and a little bit of GTA 5 on the Xbox 360. But my primary, I guess, gaming drug of choice at that time, and I've mentioned this previously, was Skyrim. I had like an absurdly over-leveled, like level 110, 120 or something character in Skyrim that basically could do everything very well. And I just spent an absurd number of hours playing that game. And, you know, when I went down and I was just seeing, this is a very clunky and weird looking game. He started a new build so that he could show me sort of how the game works. I'm just like, okay, this looks kind of interesting, but like, why does the character, when they roll, they like he was using, I think, the night build and fat rolling. I was like, it looks so clunky. Like, what's up with that? And I saw that it had a vitality bar and it had a stamina bar. And I was like, oh, it's just like Skyrim. It's not all that different. Obviously, I was very, very wrong about that. And, you know, he just said, you know, you should really give this game a try. And, I was intrigued. The learning curve was absurd. Especially because, you know, in Skyrim, you can kill pretty much any NPC without consequence. And again, this is something I mentioned in my casual playthrough, but my first time at Firelink Shrine, and I just realized I'm wearing the wrong glasses for these headphones because the thickness of the glasses sort of clashes with the tightness of the earmuffs. But I attacked Crestfallen before I knew how to actually play the game. I don't know why I did, but it was pretty stupid. I think I was annoyed by something he said. And then I realized, yep, there are consequences to your actions in Dark Souls. So very steep learning curve. But, you know, I didn't start playing it right away. It wasn't until, and I actually looked at the Xbox app to see when I got that. I think it was April 2013, something like that. So it was a few months. And after I did that, it was just like, you know, this game, I'm like falling in love with this game. And it was the only game I played for months and months and months and months. But I couldn't convince anyone to play with me. Like, my little brother, zero interest in it. He was just starting law school at the time. So, like, he just stopped playing video games in general. And my best friend, the Trayshman, initially was very, very resistant to the idea. Stupidly, I described it. I think I said something like, and maybe the Trayshman can verify this later on. I said something like, "Oh, it's just like," I said it was just like The Legend of Zelda. I don't know why I said that. I think just because I figured, oh, everyone loves Zelda. If you see me going like this, by the way, it's because you may or may not be able to see, we have a lot of plants here. And our home is quite beautiful, thanks in large part, for the most part, to my fiance. But we also have gnats, which are little tiny flies. So if you see me going like this, it's because they enjoy trying to fly in my mouth and stuff. So, but so, yeah, I couldn't convince any of my friends to try Dark Souls. So what I decided to do was I started creating these videos because, you know, as you all, I'm sure, know, if you're trying to convince someone who has never played Dark Souls, like, it's so hard to actually articulate to people what makes it so special. Because it's just such a unique game, and it bucks all the conventions of Western RPGs, while itself being a sort of quasi-Western RPG. Like, it's a very strange game, and obviously I sort of take that for granted now because I've been playing them for something like over 6 years now. But, you know, it's a game that it's very difficult to articulate what makes it special. And more than that, when you tell someone, oh, yeah, it has co-op, they just, oh, okay, well, so do we just, like, join up in the menu or something? And then you have to explain, oh, no, there's this thing called a white sign soapstone, and you can drop it, and then the other person, if they're in human form, they can pick it up. And then that summons you into the world. But, like, how do you... And they're like, wait, what? A soapstone? But, oh, yeah, but you can only drop it in certain areas because... And if you're in these areas... Oh, it's just... trying to explain over voice chat or something, hey, this is how you get to the next area, is impossible. So what I decided to do is what you're seeing right here, which is, and you can see I was trying to show my friends, if you look in the bottom, you see I have the white sign soapstone equipped so that I can show where the summoning area starts, because you see it lights up right there. Hello, Holdsworthlands. Thank you very much. And I'm glad, Lelfspian, that you feel my pain on that, because it is, it's a tremendous game, and it's a tremendous, I don't know if you'd say it's a tremendous co-op game. It's certainly an experience, especially something like Dark Souls 1 on the 360, because as you'll see, the frame rate is obviously dreadful. And as you'll obviously will have noticed, I didn't have a capture card. So this was me pointing my iPhone at my monitor and playing and providing commentary along the way. So for the rest of this video, which is only another couple of minutes, or at least for a minute or so, let's unmute this so that you can actually hear. I'm using the minimal interface, which I don't often use. So you have to roll, and I made it. So you have to roll onto this little plank here, and this is actually the shortcut to Blighttown. In order, the normal way to get to Blighttown is through the depths. So we're skipping an entire area by taking this shortcut, and it is far less treacherous taking this path than it is taking the path through the depths, because the depths is also a pain in the ass. And you'll notice even when we're in that little swamp area that we're running at normal speed, and that is because we have the rusted iron ring on. So in order to respawn or get all these enemies off our tail, we're going to light the bonfire, sit at it. You will also notice that I am hollow, so what I'm going to do is, with my 5 humanity, I'm going to reverse my hollowing. And I am going to kindle the bonfire as well. Big Hat Logan, or the makings of Big Hat Logan. Some handsome dude. So now that we've made it down here, there's going to be another step that you're going to do before you be able to summon me. And summon sign, actually I'll cover that first. So there is a chest up here. So I'm going to pause that there for a second. That's more or less what I wanted to show you. But just to touch on something that Lelfspian said, and Vodka Foley, man, taking a video is a better idea. Imagine being like me and trying to explain to someone how to get through Blighttown purely in text. Well, purely in text, purely in voice, no matter how you do it, like video is really the only medium in which you can properly do it, because yeah, otherwise you're just like, okay, so now you're gonna go through a door, and then when you go through a door, so I don't know why I'm burping so much. Then when you go through the door, you're gonna see this. Oh, so like first couple of times trying with the Trayshman was disastrous for that very reason. I love how the implication of everything you're saying here is, and so basically this is non-stop bullshit, essentially. Blighttown especially, I picked a particularly bad spot for that. And so I'm glad everyone agrees with me on this, because it's something that, hello Wisborne, being a Brit who has to get up in the morning, but congratulations. Well, don't worry, it'll be on YouTube shortly, so thank you. I had another 5 discussing Bloodborne Remastered Dark Souls 5. Yeah, I hope so as well, Lisborn. Thanks very much for joining. I really appreciate that. And for everyone else who's here, because I've been doing a lot of rambling and we're way the heck behind schedule already. So, but yeah, essentially, the point was, okay, I'm going to make these videos. And then I realized as I was doing it that I was already sort of, obviously it looks awful because I'm just pointing my phone at the screen, but and I think it was Hunter M who said or no, Hargrada sounds so young, and indeed, like wait till you see how I look in one of these videos later. Have you seen the rumors of a Demon Souls remake? I'll believe it when I see it. But yeah, so this is essentially that's essentially it for this video, which again, is just me trying to explain to someone who's never played, these are the things you need to do. These are the things we're going to do. I'm killing Maneater Mildred here, explaining, oh yeah, you could summon me here if you want, so on and so forth. I get my friends into Dark Souls by showing them my character enemy models until they see something that taps into their fetishes. It works every time. That was something that I wish I'd known that with the Trayshman, because I could have just shown him the monsters that you can make in Dark Souls and he would have been on board immediately. So the next video, so that was, I wasn't exactly successful with that. Because again, Trayshman hadn't really played, and it says convincing friends. It's just the Trayshman I was trying to convince. He hadn't really played any of those games. Even before, like the first game we ever played together was Rock Band, I think. And then I slowly scaffolded him into playing more complex games. So like first game we played after Rock Band was Resident Evil 5. Then we played Left 4 Dead 4. Then Halo 3, Halo Reach, Halo 4, GTA 5, Dark Souls 2, so on and so forth. So slowly got more complicated over time. But it was the monster thing, which if I had known and shown him the possibility of creating monsters, he would have been on board immediately. But the other thing that I didn't realize until later that would have got him on board immediately was PvP. So this sort of intrigued him. He was sort of intrigued by the possibility of PvP. And so, because, again, I tried to explain, and I'll never forget the running joke. I think it was in trying to convince my brothers that you should give Dark Souls a chance, is I was trying to explain the Dark Moon Covenant and explaining that, oh yeah, like once you do certain things, I was doing the decapitate because that person healed. Yeah, otherwise I bowed usually, but and yes, I had my same silly sense of honor that most people don't necessarily agree with. So that really hasn't changed in all these years, but yeah, my brothers would jokingly sort of be like, oh, is that game where you have to write down a list of who the sinners are? And I'm like, no, there's no list. The game does it for you. You just, you invade people who are sinners and that's that. But yeah, so this video is how long? Oops. So again, you can see my Xbox in the corner there to the right of the screen, because again, I'm just pointing at the screen. So this is 6 minutes. We won't watch the whole thing, but allow me to briefly unmute it. Oh, I think I just muted it, actually. Try to do that before. Yes. And so when people have no honor, they get the decapitate emoticon at the end, or gesture. And then on the go. Whoa, this guy's gonna try and backs. All right, you have no honor. You will be dealt with accordingly. It's trying to get a really cheap backstab on me, whereby basically relies on lag. Since you tried to kill me before I even had a chance to bow to you, you get the decap. So I'll go to this frame when I'm talking over the video, just so you know that it's me in the present. Yes, I had my very sort of particular sense of PvP honor, even though I was in the Bell Covenant, which isn't really the way that you get honor duels in this game. But again, I've mentioned this elsewhere, but Dark Souls 2 is probably the game I spent the most time in doing PvP in. Because, I still feel to this day, soul memory notwithstanding, that Dark Souls 2 had a tremendous PvP sandbox. I won't say, because you saw the lag stab right there, I won't say that it had great PvP or the best PvP, but it had a really entertaining PvP sandbox. I think Dark Souls 1 is probably the one where, you had the most freedom in terms of you could just create a soul level 1 build and invade whoever the heck you want, because you could invade infinitely upwards in the original Dark Souls 1. And I love that, and I had a soul level 1 build that I used for that particular purpose. But yeah, this is the game that I definitely spent the most time in PvP in. And, you know, I was never great at it, but I was obviously, like, not terrible. As you can see, I think in this collection of clips that I edited together, I think there was only one death in there, something like that. And it might have been the person with the sun ring, I want to say. Let's see. I'll just let this last one play out. No, don't you dare. Alright, you get no mercy from me now. Yeah, oh my god. I was so upset by that, the sun ring. Not back then you couldn't Betsujin. I know that that's a thing now, but it wasn't back then, which this was, I think, April or March of 2014, or maybe a couple months later, because I think this actually came out in March of 2014. So this was the original vanilla game, and yeah, you couldn't do that. There are a couple other things that we'll see in just a couple minutes that you couldn't do that you now can. And so, you know, I wasn't 100% successful in convincing the Trayshman or any of my other friends, my brothers or anything like that, to, you know, they just had seemingly no interest in it. Dark Souls 2 absolutely changed a lot over the course of its development, but also then later over the course of its release life, which is a very interesting thing. But oh, these gnats are driving me nuts. So I tried the PvP thing. That didn't really interest the Trayshman all that much. So what I tried next was, having watched a bunch of videos, so by Only Afro and Guardian HX in particular. Only Afro's silver trolling as a silver knight, hiding in plain sight as a silver knight video. I watched that and that blew my mind, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is how I'm going to get people into this game who I want to actually play it. So that, you know, I could, again, as everyone I'm sure in the chat can relate to, at some point or another, trying to get a friend to play Dark Souls and then just being like, I don't get it, what's so special about this game? So I'm going to let the audio from this video speak for itself, because I think this is actually pretty entertaining. But this is another thing that you can't do in Dark Souls 2 anymore, because they changed, I'll explain specifically what they changed afterwards, but they changed the enemy spawns such that this is no longer possible. But this was inspired by Only Afro and the hiding in plain sight Silver Knight thing. And those of you who have seen my video on hiding in plain sight as Edgar, Choir Intelligencer, will find this very familiar. And obviously this is the initial sort of troll that inspired that one. So we're going to be doing a little bit of trolling today. And in order to execute this troll, we have to first become a sinner. So if you see under player info, Deprived is the starting class, Brotherhood of Blood is the Covenant, and underneath that there's a little dash. And so that dash is where it'll say when we're a sinner or a wretch, which is a really bad sinner. Because when you're a sinner, you're invaded more often. So though I don't usually do this, we're going to have to sacrifice a couple of NPCs for this cause. So sorry, guy from Seldora. Sorry. I'm not even going to pick up your armor, just to show you that there's no hard feelings. Who else is there to... did that make us a sinner? Yes, it did. All right. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be posing as one of the NPCs, and we're going to, just see if people figure out who we are. But in order to do this is a very, very very delicate process. The guy we want to replace is right around the corner here. But he has a buddy with him as well. So the trick is to get rid of the one guy without aggroing the other guy. Where's my bow? There it is. Aggro means to make them aggressive. So we're going to try a little... This guy usually aggroes right away. The guy on the right, that's the guy we're going to replace. Because as you'll see, we have the exact same armor. And sword and all that. So, no, come down here. And so we don't want to aggro his buddy over there. So keep an eye on him while we're doing this. And yes, okay. I was hoping his body would disappear. So now what we need to do is sneak up on this guy so that we can take his buddy's place. And so this means we gotta be very slow. So as not to arouse suspicion, I suppose. So that he does not turn aggressive. Oh! Just turned towards us. Oh, still good. Oh, that was a little... Okay, he still hasn't noticed. Oh, no! No, we're good, we're good, we're good, we're good. This guy's cool. Alright. Looks like we're just about in position. So now we're going to pop on our helmets so that it can't see that we are not even really human. Ooh, that was... I just have to turn basically 45 degrees here. There we go. Oh, this is brilliant. Okay, here we go. There he goes. Here he comes. Oh, no. He went to the other bonfire. This is nerve-wracking. We should pop him a quick hello. I think so. That will hopefully lead him in our direction. Oh no! Why is there an enemy coming towards me? Oh, he's following that guy. What? Where is he? I'm surprised he still hasn't gone to check the primary bonfire. I bet you that's what he's going to do now. Let's just hope that he doesn't accidentally lock on to us. See you later, buddy. And... Oh! Oh my god. He's gonna go up the ladder now. Oh man. This is nerve-wracking. Oh! He landed on me. Whoa, this guy is... What is he doing? Oh no, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad! Oh, oh my god. Oh. Or sheep. Whoa. Oh. Oh no. Did he or she figure it out? Nope. Yeah, victory! So that person who just, their timer ran up, sent me a message, where the hell were you? And I replied saying, posing as an NPC Cyan Knight, and he said, LOL, well played. So yeah, that really worked, I think, to intrigue the Trayshman. It was something that he hadn't really seen how inventive you can be in the game in, messing with other people in PvP. So I showed him that. I started showing him some of the other troll videos, and then that convinced him finally to give it a shot. That was literally almost a fat minister chuckle. Yeah. So something else I find very interesting as well is that you can tell that the awareness that I'm recording and that you don't want to be too, you need to sort of keep an even keel with your voice has really affected the way I laugh, in the sense that here, it's just this like unbridled hyena-like laugh. Whereas back then it was a lot more, back then it was like a hyena. Now I'm a lot more, like, I try not to go too high even when I'm laughing my ass off, because I know that just subconsciously I'm recording that you can't let the microphone clip. So, excuse me. So that led, thankfully, to the Trayshman being a bit more willing to try the game out. So again, at this point, I still did not own a capture card, but whereas the last bunch was recorded using my phone, pointing my phone at the screen, I don't know why I decided to change it up, but I think because it's smaller. In fact, the webcam I'm using right this second is the device I use to record this next video. So again, I'll shut up because this is, I think, the most enjoyable of all the videos that I've played in this segment. So I'm going to let you hear it in full.
Nice.
Oh my god. Here comes Marco and... Oh, did he just see the item? I think he just saw the item. Oh, that's so good. Oh god, I love that so much. Yeah! Oh, man. This one's very suspicious. Yes! Yeah! Oh my god, I can't believe I missed that first shot. Oh man. So, just in case anyone is not aware, so I mentioned you can't do either of those things anymore. The first one is because the cyanites don't actually spawn there anymore. Hello, Maria Gray. And yes, holds worth hens. Yes, that was indeed a laugh of pure evil. Because we thinking about it from my perspective, the amount of work that went into convincing the Trayshman in particular to pick up souls and to go through all, like, I obviously facilitated everything, created those videos to sort of show them how to get from one bonfire to the next in the areas where you can't summon people. And so, that sort of trolling session was like the culmination of all that work that we had done, or that I had done to get him into it. Thank you very much, Maria. It's very kind of you to say. And so, yeah, it was just a tremendous feeling. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, and this was even before the release of Scholar of the First Sin, that on the Xbox 360 and then later on the PlayStation 4, they made it so that you can't drop items on the bridge anymore. And I found that very strange because, like, you were able to do it before, even though it's a variable platform. Generally, the variable locations, like if you save quit, it'll put you on the side and not on the platform because they don't know whether or not the platform is going to be there. So they don't want you to, load the game and then spawn in lava. So for whatever reason, you can't do that anymore. And as for the first one, the cyanites don't spawn there anymore. I don't, but I'm tempted to say that it was better. Vanilla was better, if only because, we had the ability to do that. So the next video, I think this is the last one or the one prior to it. Oh, the next one I think might actually be the last one. Let me see, 1 second. Yeah, the next video is the last one, and then we'll do a quick Q&A and then break time. But no, yeah, I definitely think that Scholar is a huge improvement. The Hide Knight and the Force Fallen Giants is the real reason I like Vanilla more. Yeah, in Vanilla, the Hide Knights not being in Hide was kind of curious, but having that Hide Knight there was always really interesting because it provided a really substantial early game challenge. Because I think the only other one in Vanilla Dark Souls 2 was in the Shaded Woods near the entrance to Dragon Lake Castle, the gate of, gosh, I used to know that game like the back of my hand. I honestly can't even remember the name of the gate where you need the Lord Souls to enter, or a million souls in your soul memory, whatever it was. The Shrine of Winter, that's what it was called. So, yeah, Shrine of Winter. Thank you, everyone. Scholar is, in my view, also, yeah, the definitive version, but certainly, I didn't think the vanilla game was as bad as most people said it was, although it certainly definitely had its problems, had its issues. Oh yeah, that's right. And another one in the Lost Bastille. Yeah, it would be interesting to one day just like put Dark Souls 2, because I do have the disc for it, to put that in an Xbox without a hard drive on it, and just like that would be really weird. But I guess you could do the same thing because I also have the disc for Dark Souls 1 as well, so it'd be interesting to do that. Okay, so yeah, so the next video, again, the agenda is going to be way the heck off now because we're really behind already. Sounds like something JSF would do. Yeah, it does actually. Okay, so the next video is, in fact, yeah, so let's back up for 1 second. So it was after doing all of this trolling with the Trayshman, and in addition to that, because, at this time it had been something like almost a year since I had last made a video, and I sort of felt myself like itching to want to do that. And to just go back briefly, very, very briefly, I'm going to mute it so that I can talk over it, to the last video. So one thing I didn't mention that those of you who will have seen my, how to troll in PvP with Alluring Skulls video will know, the item on the bridge here, the items are actually Alluring Skulls. So just like the hollows in the game, these players were essentially picking up alluring skulls. They were, they felt the allure of the alluring skulls, just like hollows. They pick it up, and then as soon as they pick it up, they're getting knocked off the bridge. So even though it seems mean what we were doing, the vast majority of the messages we received after doing this were like, oh my god, that's so clever, I can't believe you guys thought to do this. And it occurred to me, yeah, like this is actually a pretty creative. Maria, the camera I was using is actually this camera right here, so the webcam. I had it pointed at the screen, but I didn't know anything about frame rates or anything, like the way that the webcam worked back then. So I think I was recording at 720p, but it was like basically full screen, and it was such low quality that, yeah, it was just not good. But it was because of all the fun that we had doing this, and because of how creative I realized it was, that I was like, you know what? I want to get a capture card, and maybe I'll start a YouTube channel where, I didn't think at first anyway that I would be doing, like, I loved watching playthroughs of the game, other people doing playthroughs, and I thought, yeah, that's something I could do myself. I never thought, yeah, exactly that, Maria Gray, except that because whereas back in the day when you would point at the screen, because of the refresh rate in CRTs, all you could see is just like lines going down the screen. Thankfully with this, it's a little bit more clear, but definitely the same sort of guerrilla style approach to making videos. But I didn't want to do that anymore. I figured, screw it. Like, I have the ability to edit videos. I'm pretty good at it. I have obviously some creative ideas in terms of like PvP things that you could do. So screw it. Let's just get a capture card. I didn't really have the money for it anyway, but whatever. I put it on my credit card, which is kind of stupid, but no regrets just because of everything we're celebrating here today, the channel and everything. But yeah, I got a capture card. Didn't have a clue what I was doing first in terms of didn't have a clue at all what I was doing in terms of the quality of how to capture it. I was using OBS for some reason, in part because it allowed you to, you could use a face cam. Souls come and go, indeed. So I had this really dreadful setup where the frame rate was really low and it was just not fun at all. But whatever, I had a capture card. I didn't care. I was like, as long as it's not a camera pointing at the screen like I had been doing up to that point, I was like, whatever. So I invited the Trayshman over to my place. Like, he would come over pretty regularly and we'd play games together. But this time I was like, bring your Xbox 360 and Dark Souls and your controller and all that. And he actually, logged all that stuff all the way up to my apartment. We at the time anyway, or like to some degree still today, we live not close to each other. It's a decent trek. So he logged all this stuff up to my place, and we spent an entire day trolling in Iron Keep and elsewhere and recording with, the capture card at a dreadful frame rate, low resolution, but with the webcam in the corner, so you can actually see us as we're doing it. And you'll see also how much younger I looked back then. Grad school has definitely aged me. And yeah, so this was the very first video ever posted to the Aegon of Astora YouTube channel. And it has since been deleted. So you're about to see the video that only something like, I don't know, 40 or 50 people. I don't know how many people watched it before I deleted it, but the reasons why I deleted it are, at least they should be obvious after you watch it. But whereas today, if you look, it looks like it's the Lucatil of Mira cinematic lore video, but it is actually this video coming up here. So I'll shut up and let you watch.
I picked it up. Just like,
Ding!
you want that one? I was like, I don't know, I don't know what to say really had. She's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, it's pretty crap. It's fucking 2014, man.
Well, and not only that, but like,
It's just a light, like, what does that even mean? Like, sure, you want that one? Or it's just like, or something? Whoa, whoa, whoa! What just happened? Did you do that to me?
Do what?
You just did that to me. You were the only one there. Of course you did that to me, you troll.
No, honestly, I didn't do anything.
That spell that was just there, you got me killed. What just happened?
I honestly don't even know. But how could I was your summon there? I wasn't a red summon.
You're trying to argue your way out of this too much. I know you're lying. What did you do there? And the only reason you're not telling me is because you want to be able to do it again.
Very good.
You're gonna make me waste a seed again.
Why do you think we farmed so many seeds? Did you not notice I was just waiting to set that up?
Well, I was wondering why you got so quiet all of a sudden.
Oh god.
Well,
Oh, you can't blame me for trying.
that would be nice.
Oh.
What?
I was surprised that you weren't like, hey, what are you doing?
You got all quiet again. I should know by now, I guess.
Oh man.
Grab it on the delicate finger string.
Start fingering delicately.
What happened there?
I fucked the jump up again.
So, yeah. So, a couple of things. First, you can see that I am smoking. Dangerman lead. That's because I was wearing clothes that, like, I bought as a teenager. At that point, I hadn't bought clothes for, like, 10 years, and I guess that's still true today because the shirt I'm wearing now, my fiance actually bought it for me. So I still, haven't really gone to buy any clothes. But, and, you know, the hat was just because I didn't care. I shaved because, I don't know, I didn't think that I would look any good with the beard. Different glasses, too. But, yeah, the smoking, obviously, is a huge change because even though it wasn't until August of 2018 that I got completely off of nicotine, but it was around, right before the weeks immediately preceding the Bloodborne blind playthrough on my channel. So in something like March of 2015 is when I quit smoking. And so, yeah, I haven't smoked since. I don't know, Maria, if it actually affected my voice or if it's just because I'm using a USB microphone, whereas back then I was just using the microphone that's attached to the webcam. But yeah, no, I'm definitely not re-uploading. It'll be a part of the highlights from this. This is like watching Bizarro Aegon, indeed. But yeah, so it's kind of funny that, like, you know, there's that video. There is a clip from this video in that how to troll with alluring skulls, or at least from this day of recording. Oh yeah, Nicole. Yeah, I did show that Slenderman video before on. I toyed around with the possibility of including that as well, but there's too many other videos that we had to get through. But yeah, the same idea basically, where I'm just trolling the Trayshman and everything. But you know, one of the reasons I deleted it is because of the smoking, and like I quit smoking, so I didn't want to see myself smoking anymore. The other reason is because the quality is awful. But it is funny that, you know, you see a clip from this video in the trolling with alluring skulls video, but what you didn't realize at the time is that I spent basically the entire night trying to kill him with Lifedrain while we were trolling other people. And yeah, as you can see right there in the upper right corner, that is the look of an evil friend who is just really... I was living my best life at the time. Like in reality, of course, the things were not tremendously rosy for me at the time, just because, hold on, let me just get caught up here. Both look like a bro couple who end up getting killed at the beginning by a monster of some film. Like mucking about and then die. Probably both. Still pretty far have you come since then, damn. But what did you film back then? What do you mean, what did I film? What was I filming with? I think it was with my webcam. I don't blame you. His response is, yeah. And it really was quite enjoyable. The camera I was using, Danger and Lead, is actually the camera that I'm recording this with. If you're talking about the camera that's in the top right corner. And yeah, so like the quality is just awful, right? So that's why I decided, all those things, and just, I don't know, I felt like I could do better. The other thing that you may have noticed is that the webcam is slightly out of sync. So, I mean, what camera back in the day in that deleted video? You mean in this one? By camera, do you mean the thing in the upper right? Because if that's what you mean, then yeah, it's the same webcam through which you're seeing me right this second. It's the same webcam. It's just back then I didn't have a clue what I was doing in terms of how to manage all the various sources and using OBS, and my computer was also a great deal, a fair deal, or can't even talk, a fair bit less powerful than the one I'm using now. So, yeah, well, I'm definitely, thank you very much for saying that, Vodkafall. I'm definitely a lot happier now. And like I mentioned, I guess to some degree, like you can all just basically watch the videos that have been posted to my channel over the last 5 years to sort of get a sense of my, I guess, progression of dealing with depression and anxiety and just grad school in general. And I think a big part of sort of the forlorn attitude that I had for a very long time is just that there was barely any, the end wasn't necessarily in sight for a very long time. And it was tough to, that was an intentional reference. I'm glad someone got that. But certainly it was tough. But you all made, because grad school is really, really difficult. As because I know I have a bunch of viewers who have been grad school, and that isn't to say that people who go to grad school are smarter than people who don't. You could probably make the opposite argument just based on the amount of money I would have made. I guess the opportunity cost of going to grad school, especially for someone with I have an undergrad degree in accounting, right? Well, I don't even think intelligence is intelligence in the sense that what does that even mean, right? Because when people talk about intelligence, they usually mean IQ, but IQ is more of a measure of cultural intelligence than it is intelligence, full stop. But yeah, that's another can of worms. But, a big reason why I started the channel was because I thought, all these other people, because, I used to watch Ian B., Franz, a German spy. I watched some of Vati videos back in the day before, obviously, the whole Lucatil Amira thing. And I haven't seen any of these videos since, really. But, it was just, I didn't think that anyone would give a damn. Like, I always knew that I was good at making videos and I was good at doing things. I don't do anything half-assed. So if I am going to do something, I'm going to put effort into it. And, it's probably not untrue that I spent a lot of time making videos when I should have otherwise been working on my grad school stuff. But at the same time, I was so depressed that I don't know that I could have used that time for anything else. Dog playing piano. I'm replaying Bloodborne after a few years, and now I can't not see it as a neoliberal hellscape after your Let's Talk Lore videos. Well, I'm very glad to hear that, or at least I hope that didn't ruin the game for you. But My entry into Souls was my friends handing me a controller and Dark Souls 2, and my first objective was to test the boundaries around things betwixt. I fell into the water and fell in love. Yeah, that's a good introduction. But yeah, so for me, you could make an argument that like I would have been finished grad school today if I didn't start this channel, but at the same time, and like, not to put too dramatic a point on it, but there were times where I considered what if I wasn't alive, just because I was in such a deep hole. And I don't know that, certainly I wouldn't be the same person I am today if it wasn't for all of you, but I don't know that I would be here. And you all really helped me through that, because grad school, it's such a weird experience, because I had coworkers, I had colleagues, I had people I could talk to, but there were people around, and I lived on campus too for 7 years. And yet there's people around all the time, and yet it's so lonely and so isolating. And, when I would hang out with my family and to some degree with my friends, I would talk to them about grad school stuff, about the stuff I was learning. And like, generally speaking, people don't care, because like they have their own stuff going on, but also a lot of it is just very idiosyncratic, or at least they assume it is, and they assume it's not something they'll find interesting, so they just don't listen to begin with. And my thought in starting to create sort of playthrough content, Dark Souls 2 Let's Talk Lore initially, and then like a lot of the playthrough stuff I did was, I felt like I had a unique perspective on these games based in part on my studies and just sort of, I guess who I've always been and my, the way my mind works, that I was like, I don't know if anyone will give a damn about all this stuff that I have to say, all the rambling I have to do, because, I can't even pay attention to one thing at a time. And yet, the more I made videos, the more of you tuned in and seemed to enjoy it. So I don't know if you're all maybe like just, if this is like a Truman Show type situation and you're all like an illusion or something, but just know that I appreciate you all tremendously, illusory or otherwise. And that, this last 5 years, you all helped me dig myself out of a really deep hole, in part because, you were all there to listen, and you didn't, none of you gave me crap for going off on these random tangents, doing the things that I'm doing now. Like, I've been streaming for almost 2 hours and we haven't even played Bloodborne yet. So I'll get caught up in the messages here, and then quick hide the cameras. Indeed. Sounds like Marx's descriptions of alienation. I hate that feeling so much. Indeed. And I think that's a big problem in grad school in general. But again, people just don't talk about these things, right? I kind of flunked uni partially because I tried to keep my depression at bay, focusing on personal projects. It didn't work. Well, and it's so tough because, in post-secondary and in grad school, like there's this idea that you should just suck it up and do it. And that we glorify all-nighters and things like that. Like I remember not sleeping before one of my like essays and then just like it was almost like I was bragging about it. Like, oh yeah, I spent all night doing this. Like it's like a rite of passage. Like you have to treat yourself and your body like crap. And it took me a long time to realize that that's not true and that you shouldn't do that. And now, like on the weekends, generally speaking, I, spend weekends with my fiance and we do family things and go to, social events and things like that. But like, I try not to work. And the bootstrap mentality absolutely kills folks. And it makes those who are incapable of doing certain things for reasons that are beyond their control, it makes them feel like shit, like they're less than, and that's not fair. Sleep deprivation is the cause for a reduction in the oxytocin drug, which means that as we lose sleep at school, we lose empathy for others. Well, and also just basic ability to function generally too, right? I know that today and yesterday both were really, really difficult for me to write. Like I still got a lot of writing done, but at the same time, the night before, my fiance had to be up really early. And so after she got up, I couldn't go back to sleep. So I only got like 5 hours of sleep. And then yesterday night, she went to Vancouver to visit her family. She's attending a wedding there, different wedding from the one. We're going to another wedding there next month. But this is my first time in this apartment by myself without her here. Like I've been here before, but like not when it was my apartment. So I had a lot of trouble getting to sleep last night just because of that. My partner has depression, and sleep is so important because it makes it so much harder to get up and face the day. Absolutely, yeah. It's not easy. Kids were taking speed to stay up for days just to finish their work at my school. Yeah, and you know, caffeine and like things like Red Bull, like they sell those things on campus, right, for a reason. And schools feed into that stuff. So one of the things I wished I had known before I started grad school was you shouldn't do all-nighters because it just makes it harder for you to catch up. And then you get caught in this cycle of just basically never sleeping or sleeping only a few hours a night. Well, certainly, you know, I don't know if there's a direct cause and effect relationship in terms of lack of empathy, but sleep deprivation can affect you in a number of ways, right? A culture is defined by the drugs it allows. Indeed, yeah, that's well said. But you know, the fact that you know, in grad school, especially, that like we assign in grad school more readings than people can actually do. It's a systematic thing that you know, you can't do all the readings, or at least I couldn't. I never could. So, you know, you find ways to get by and to get the gist of a reading without doing the entire thing. I didn't know that when I first started. So that, you know, really just made it difficult for me to keep up with everything. So a lot of unwritten things that we don't talk about that I think we really ought to talk more about. So we are way the heck behind, about half an hour behind already. 7:15 to 7:30, which is when we ought to have done this. Ask Aegon almost anything, and you all can, you know, you can ask me questions anytime you want, of course, and you know, I may not answer them, but you can always ask, and you know, don't feel bad about asking them. But so for me, it was like one thing at the time, I remember I grumbled a lot about it, was all of the reflections that I had to write based on the readings that we did. But that has been so incredibly helpful in allowing me to sort of recall a lot of the readings that I did, because, you know, when you write about something, pardon me for hitting the mic there, when you write about something, it makes it a lot easier for you to remember, you know, to be able to recall details from it. And, you know, like in Let's Talk Lore, I've drawn on reflections I've written many times. So, and it's been very helpful in terms of doing my literature review, which is like the last thing, basically the thing I left for last after my intro. So again, I wrote it backwards, my dissertation. And the literature review without all the reflections I wrote would have been really, really difficult to do. Speaking of sleep deprivation, I need to be off for work, but before you go, I wanted to thank you. Well, thank you very much, Vodka Foley. Not my friends, and would have been in a worse. Well, and the same goes for you, friend. Thank you so much for the wonderful drawings you've done. To everyone who's done drawings of me and for me. So, Vodka Foley, Neil Lucky, Brooke, Ohio Red Shirt. There's one or two other people who I'm missing, and I feel dreadful about that. What do you see for the future of the channel as you reflect on the past 5 years? Will you continue to do your long form Let's Talk Lore? As soon as I get a job, yeah, that's the plan. That just because unless my job is somehow making videos, which I don't, you know, it's not really going to happen because can't really use my PhD for that. And thanks again, Vodka Foley. Take care. You know, it's something that I want to be able to continue doing in my spare time. And obviously my spare time now that I'm engaged to be married, and you know, I have social obligations with my fiance while still trying to keep up with my friends and stuff like that, that I just want to, I'm trying to balance everything, in other words. But as soon as I finish my dissertation, I'm hoping to find a job. And then from there, hoping to be able to continue working on things in the background. My fiance is not into games, really. Like, hold on, before I get to that, there's a couple others here. Is it me, or do I feel like there's lack of curiosity for Elden Ring? No, I don't know. Like, I see, just in general, like, I haven't really been able to keep up with trailer culture or like the hype train for things. Like with Sekiro, it was the same thing, right? I didn't know anything about Sekiro because I just didn't keep up with it. So I try not to, and I feel it's actually better that way, because then you're not just spending all your time anticipating things. So I'm excited for Elden Ring, just knowing that it's being made in collaboration with George R.R. Martin, but I don't really know what to think about it until I actually play it. Nicole asks, is your fiance into games? How do they feel about your vids? She's very supportive about my videos. Obviously, it wouldn't quite be right for me with her sort of carrying the financial load between the two of us right now. It wouldn't be right for me to spend all my time working on videos and not finish my dissertation, because that's the last thing I need to do before I can actually get a job. And so, I feel like she's fine with it as long as I have a healthy balance, which I don't know that I have that just yet, because like I'm just so intensely working on my dissertation, but I will hopefully be able to strike one very soon. So a funny story with her is that like her dad used to be like, he's a lot more mellow today, but apparently when they were younger, he was, because they grew up in, she only came to Canada about 10 years ago. They grew up in what is today Mumbai in India. And he was not pleased when he came home and he found out that they were playing games on the computer. And so I think she said the last game she played that her and her sister loved was Road Rash. So one of these days I want to find like on GOG.com or something like the version of Road Rash they played, and then like, set it up as a surprise to her, because I'm sure she'd love playing it. But yeah, and then so her dad got really mad at them for playing. He's like, oh, you're gonna rot your brain with this stuff. And then they just stopped playing video games after that. But he's cool now, so it's all right. But yeah, she's okay as long as she finds it interesting. She doesn't really understand obviously the Souls specific aspects of it though. What's the average prep work like for streaming? Some sort of hairstyling gel? I definitely, if you're asking what I use in my hair, it's actually not even gel, it's conditioner. I don't know why, but yeah, I asked my little brother once what he uses for his hair, and that was his answer. So I don't know why I started doing that, but I did. So the average prep work, I'm not sure if this particular stream can even apply to that, just because of all the stuff, like the editing I had to do for all those videos, the like frame I did, this itinerary, all that stuff. And then especially if you consider, excuse me, if you consider all of the stuff I had to do to, like I had to downgrade my OBS and downgrade my VLC so that it wasn't trying to use hardware acceleration, because the software acceleration wasn't working properly in the new one. So each stream is different, but certainly, yeah, there's a lot of prep work that goes into it, such that I can't just hop on and do it just like that. Any hints on how dog playing piano? Any hints on how to deplug from the hype train like that? Start doing a PhD, and then don't start like intensely working on your dissertation until like your second last year of funding, and then you'll be forced to finish your dissertation so fast that you won't have time for any of that. Bloodborne wise, what do you make of the doll? Is she red or coded as a mother or daughter figure? I think she's very motherly. Especially like if you look at the Great One ending, the one where you turn into a baby Great One. Can't remember what that one was called. But she's just sort of, very nicely stroking your squid body, and like, you know, so it seems very motherly to me anyway. Yay, actually my best friend isn't into games and I love that dynamic. Yeah, it's interesting. She's very good though. She loves Tetris. It's one thing when I had my Retron 5 set up at my old apartment. I don't have it set up anymore because the pins in the Super Nintendo cartridge slot have completely gone, so it doesn't work for Super NES cartridges anymore. And the Genesis one is glitched as well. But yeah, she loves Tetris. I don't mind being on the hype train these days with games. Films for me right now kind of takes my mind off of politics here in the UK. Yeah, all the Brexit stuff is not especially encouraging, nor the impeachment situation in the States, nor the possibility of a conservative government here in Canada. But yeah, I think the doll displays kind of Retrons don't take abuse well. Indeed, but they also just don't take inserting and taking out cartridges very well either. I think the doll displays kind of an unsettling amount of both of which convey the unhealthy relationships she has to male characters. And that's the interesting thing, as Theoretical 271 points out, that, you know, it's kind of weird because the doll is in part the creation of Gehrman, but in part the creation of whichever great one was responsible for sort of forming the hunter's dream. Have you read any of the Bloodborne comics? And if so, what do you think of them? I have not, Dog Playing Piano. I know that Michaela has review videos for them, for several of them. And I think that they're, you know, I haven't watched them yet, but like my perspective, so I would recommend checking them out if you haven't already, and you can find a link to Michaela's channel in the sidebar on mine, but I don't know. See, my perspective on Soul's storytelling is such that I don't really think a comic fits into that mold, if that makes any sense. That the whole idea, again, why I started making sort of playthrough type lore videos on the Souls games is that, you know, there is no top-down narrative that is sort of, and like I haven't actually even looked at the comics, so maybe they maintain that in some way, but yeah. Japan's understanding of female gender roles is very different than any other country, as they represent power as silk hiding steel, that women can be as delicate or sharp as possible. I think it depends on the storytelling method in a comic, that is minimal dialogue. The doll reminds me of a reflection of how many men fixate on, wow, taking off my headphones and I'm talking very loud all of a sudden, on how many men fixate on single women as sources of all different kinds of emotional providers. Indeed. They sort of, so I'm changing my glasses because otherwise, with the thickness of whatever this part is, it starts to hurt my head after a while. I don't like these glasses as much as the other ones, but they're more comfortable when I'm wearing the wearing these headphones. Is Gehrman supposed to be a typical male though? Well, he's a creep. I don't know if a typical male is a creep, but certainly, yeah. Are you lacking in empathy? Hey, friendos, finally good to catch one of your streams, Aegon. I've been watching your videos for years, and I've always respected and enjoyed the academic roundtable discussion you bring to the community. I hope everything is well and good to finally meet you. Well, it's tremendous to meet you as well. Bonnie Dimples, thank you very much for joining us, friend. I wouldn't say anything in Bloodborne is typical. That's a good point, yeah. Again, keep in mind, everyone, it has been 3 years since I last played Bloodborne. Maybe 3.5 years? Yeah, so the Let's Talk Lore one is this one, 176 hours. Yeah, good good catch, Maria. This was actually, like, obviously not all of that was recording. Yeah, so my build. So Regret, as always, is the first one that I created in this game. So this would have been the one that I used in my blind playthrough, which is uploaded to YouTube. Crag, I don't know why I named this person Crag, but that was like the secondary build with I think this one uses the Kirk hammer. Excuse me. Alucard, that should be pretty self-explanatory, but it's a build that uses the Rikuyo, I think. And that one is in one of the later Chalice dungeons. Eileen the Crow, I made this one just for the video I did, the cinematic lore video I made on Eileen. Likewise with Gehrman. And I did also have at one point the guy in Old Yharnam, Old Hunter Jura build that looked just like him. This was before the sliders were released, so that was just a lot of trial and error. But I don't have him anymore. There's Edgar from my Edgar Choir Intelligencer video, again, which I created before the sliders, so I think it's actually pretty good, all things considered. My cooperator build, which is this guy, who tells you to wait if I have things going on. My Gehrman build, again, made pre-sliders, but I think it's pretty close. Starkey, I think I made this one for the Old Hunters playthrough I did. Brador, I made this one for the Old Hunters video. I never finished the second half of that, unfortunately, but... and then, yeah, the Aegon of Astora video, it wasn't entirely for I used it principally for Let's Talk Lore, but not all of that time was on screen because a lot of it was off-camera farming in the Chalice dungeons in order to make my build overpowered so that I could just focus on the lore and nothing else. So I think I'm probably going to want to load up the Aegon build because I think this is the one that has access to all the Chalice dungeons. Oh, I don't even know how many hours, Maria, because so many of the hours were just... like, I wasn't even really paying attention at all. And in fact, so I mentioned how this was the build that I used for Let's Talk Lore. This is, I restored to a restore point that I recorded, or that I created prior to recording the finale. So, yeah, amazingly, this build is precisely where it was before the last episode of Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore. So keep in mind that, again, the last time I played this game would have been early 2016, after the release of Dark Souls 3, because I did my Dark Souls 3 blind playthrough, and then I think I needed to finish the last 2 episodes of Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore after I did my blind playthrough of Dark Souls 3. So, does anyone want to give me a Chalice dungeon glitch to explore any of the crazy things? Because I'm led to understand, anyway, that there were some insane things discovered after I stopped playing the game. So, in preparing, I know I mentioned that I haven't played the game in 3 years, and that's true, but in preparing for recording, I was walking around central Yharnam. So when I was walking around central Yharnam, I noticed things that I had not noticed previously. And the reason for that is that, again, I'm using headphones. That's not something I had the ability to do with my old setup because, I have a couple of different ways of doing it now because my monitor in front of me actually has a headphone port on it. And there's no feedback like there was on my old monitor. And I have my headphones actually hooked up to the TV right now because don't worry, Bonnie, I kind of forgot as well. I have the headphones hooked up to my computer now because I actually have an HD60, which is more or less, like there's a little bit of a lag, but not a huge lag. Thank you very much, Smotown. Not a huge lag, but it's good enough where I can actually have the headphones on and hear things in real time, which is not something I had the ability to do previously. So when I was recording previously, well, a little bit of an overkill there. I didn't, you know, let me try that again. When I was recording previously, I had the volume very low because I was worried about it leaking into my microphone. But coming here with headphones on, you hear so many things that you didn't hear before. And this is just one thing that I noticed yesterday.
It's not like you, stranger. Oh, this curse. This is a damn curse.
This curse. This is a damn curse. We're cursed. We're all cursed.
We're finished.
There's no hope.
Oh, this curse. This is a damn curse.
This stench smells like you, stranger.
This curse. This is a damn curse.
We all know who's at fault. We know precisely who it is.
We're finished.
There's no hope. This curse. This is a damn curse.
This curse. This is a damn curse. We know precisely who's at fault for this, stranger. It's so creepy. It is so creepy. I've never noticed that before. Are there any Demon Souls clarities you've found since playing it? I don't know if I would necessarily say clarities, but certainly I feel like I understand it a bit better now, like just having, you know, the context of having played it, and then going back to revisit the other Souls games as well as Sekiro and things like that. Like each time you play one of the games, you know, your understanding improves, if that makes any sense. Okay, let me see this first cut boss one that Smotown gave me. So 2C8 CZ H8H. Okay. Oh, it's Zully the Witch. Zully's like cut content master. Oh, I'm so intrigued by this. You gotta wait, this can fuck your file up. Oh. Well, I like, it's backed up. When you say this could screw up my file, like, I can still restore to an earlier save point, yeah? The cut content gang squad. If it's backed up, you should be good. I think it just messes up the character, not your account. No, yeah, I'm fine. Like, 'cause it's backed up. So I have it backed up not only on the cloud, but also, no, it's all good, Smotown. But also on USB, so it's fine. Let's see what happens. Well, you know, I haven't played this game in 3 years, so I never got around to be able to see your Sekiro playthrough. Do you have any thoughts? Oh, whoa, what the? Oh my god, what the fuck? What? What is happening? Oh my god. This is a disaster. Oh my god. This is the thing. Oh, what the? What? Okay, the audio is all screw. Oh my god. Yep, there it goes. Oh my god. What an utter. Oh. Wow. Oh my god. So where am I gonna respawn now, I wonder? Oh, it's all good, Smotown. That's part of the excitement, actually. This is what I wanted. Oh my god. Oh my god. Let's see how far I can get. What the? They're just lined up here. Oh my god. Oh! You think the blue elixir will help? Wow. It really is madness. Yeah, how bad could it be? I was thinking. Wow, that's incredible. I watched someone fight Vicar Amelia, Cleric Beast, and the Watchdog at the same time in one chalice. So, are these created by people... Are these created by people using like a hacked version of the game? Is that how they manage this? One thing I definitely missed while playing Sekiro, and I will get to that question about Sekiro in a second, but one thing I missed is having a dedicated heal button. This is like hard mode gauntlet, basically. Oh. Still not used to the controls. Boy, you have no idea how, LOL. Well, what? Get to see an unused last boss, too. What? Oh my gosh. A debug, that is so cool, the fact that they managed that. See, I thought that as a decently complete boss. Okay, Captain Anime Titty. Let me just see what's going on here first. What's happening here, friends? Someone ate something that was definitely past its best before date, I think. Zully really is a wizard. Okay. Why do I have that? Oh, I guess that's actually not a bad thing to have equipped, given where we are. We're gonna call this Chalice the Friend Parade. Yeah, it's not even a gauntlet, it's a parade, seriously. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even know if we'll have time for all this time. We're gonna have to do another stream soon. Okay, none of them respond to the music box. That's not a good sign. Great one, stomach virus. Oh my gosh. Oh, I should have taken out some more Shaman Bone Blades before we came here. Actually, let's see, Molotovs. Got a pretty serious case of Great One belly. Do people just call you Captain? Oh. Oh, that guy is stuck in 15 frames per second land. One of the dreamlands. So wait, these are like... Those are like tentacle plants? Because you see, obviously... What are you doing here? Do you just fall to your death if you go down there? They're the tops of emissaries. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, Devin guy, but... where's the bottoms? And they're making that same ultrasound noise as well. I'm amazed I've been able to survive as long as I have, although having said that, I'm probably dead now. Oh, this is one of the... This guy's definitely not in the game. Whoa. Okay, hi friend. My name is Aegon of Astora. I made a series on Bloodborne. Oh! I would have gladly featured you in it if you were in the game, but you weren't. So what do you want from me? So hard to pair. Oh, it's like a bear? What? It's a boss. Doesn't seem to attack, but looks really cool. The tops of emissaries are a separate entity. They're attached to the rest and teleported to match their positions every couple of frames, which is why they wiggle around so much. Hello, Hot Pocket Remix. Do you have a sneak attack? It might clip through the floor and hit the blue things. What do you mean by snack attack? If any of you out there aren't subscribed to Hot Pocket Remix on YouTube, I would highly recommend doing so. Hot Pocket Remix has several videos, but the most recent video in particular is very interesting in that Hot Pocket Remix goes through what is sort of what's happening in the mechanics of the game code in Dark Souls 1, which would lead to you being able to leave the Northern Undead Asylum without an Estus flask, which is really quite intriguing. Winter Lanterns have a similar thing where they have an invisible entity that fires the frenzy beam at you attached to them. Wow. Well, it's my pleasure. It's a great video, Hot Pocket Remix, and you know, obviously, I want to say that Hot Pocket Remix is the person who made the Dark Souls randomizer. I don't think I'm wrong about that, but in any case, Hot Pocket Remix has been active in the Souls hacking community for quite some time, and certainly deserves some recognition for that. Wow, I don't remember this guy. A ball and chain. Yeah, so, you know, videos that people have used in all sorts of, or videos, mods that people have used in all sorts of videos and other things. So Hot Pocket Remix is definitely deserving of a lot of that credit. And just, you know, like the people who spend all the time sort of hacking and picking apart these games to begin with, just, it's amazing to me because, you know, obviously FromSoft, they do what they do, and they're obviously very good at it, but, you know, it can be frustrating sometimes trying to figure out what is, you know, just trying to figure out the games in general. So the fact that there are people out there who lend their expertise to such matters by hacking the game and trying to help us figure out what is just, you know, a byproduct of some earlier development process and what is actually done intentionally, I think is really interesting. Need more friends. When I found that guy in the chalices, I felt robbed. I want a transforming Morningstar flail thing. Yeah, for real. So that isn't... So that guy's not in the game then? I know this guy is. Whoa! As is that guy. And this one. We now have a map viewer that can let you look around any chalice dungeon you like. It's quite fun. That's amazing. And yeah, I mentioned earlier PT. That's another really interesting case where it says Lance McDonald, when he started hacking PT, made that post about it on Twitter. And then, oh, this is the one with my souls, I think. And then, what's his face? Hideo Kojima actually retweeted him. 3 years pass, yep. It's pretty nuts. Pthumerian knights or whatever with the shields, crossbows, and swords, they can also have a flail. Yeah, see, I remember the ones with the shields. I also found an unused corpse on top of Amelia's boss room that has Gascoigne's set. Very weird to discover indeed. So, like, at a certain point, it was probably supposed to join the boss fight or something, I would presume. Oh, that was only... Whoa. Why is this guy's stomach glowing? I don't think I've ever seen that before. Oh, I'm out of bullets. Oh. Yeah, weird glowing stomach. Oh, thank you, Maria. Yeah, I remember just sort of by instinct. Oh, so that one is like a suicide bomber, sort of kamikaze. Oh, get out of here, taking all my insight. Bloodborne has several cut treasure corpses. I believe there's one with Garamond set in the dream around a corner. Wow, okay. Psst. I guess this isn't oil that he's standing in. Oh, he's angry. Bloodstone shard? What am I walking into here? Hi, friend. It's a good thing this is like super overpowered. This build, that is. That like thumping noise is starting to freak me out. As a fellow modder, Meow Meritus found that... and a fellow modder found that during every messenger animation, there's an invisible player model aggressively doing test bending animations. Lots of weird stuff in this game. Yeah, it's always like the things that are just off camera are fascinating to me. Is that the one I should do next, Smotown? Early cut moon presents. Okay, that's fascinating. I'm gonna copy that. Yeah, I guess there's really... Oh! They hit... Whoa. Who's hurting who here? Oh, it was the beast-possessed soul. Just killed someone. Oh, these are cut friends here too, eh? Okay, that's interesting. I guess this is one way to farm souls. Just let the beast possess. Oh yeah, no, beast possessed souls are automatically coded as being like opposed to everyone. That's one detail about them I do remember. That they're sort of on their own team, quote unquote. Wow, get wrecked. This is a strong beast-possessed soul. No, apparently not that strong after all. Oh, I thought I made it through. Oh, there's a flower thing. What do they call them again? Fluorescent flower? All right, that replenished basically all of our blood vials. Yeah, this is so interesting. The least I can say for 5 years of exploring the worlds of Miyazaki, bless you, Aegon, may the good dissertations lead your way. Well, thank you very much, Maria. I appreciate that. I apologize that I don't have a sound effect set up for that, other than that, whatever that default one was. Does this chalice actually end? I think Dangerman Leap possibly... Like, it doesn't end in the sense that there's, like, a lamp, I don't think. But I imagine as you're walking, more enemies will spawn. But yeah, thank you very much for that, Maria. And for everyone who has donated today, it really does mean a lot. Don't think that that's required in any way, shape, or form, because it's not. You being here to watch is more than enough. But, you know, I do very much appreciate it at the same time. Tempering, what was that? I don't think that was a good bloodstone, but whoa, friends. I was just getting sentimental about the last 5 years. I can make you a sound effect if ever you need, free of charge, for all the mind-altering content you've blessed my life with. Well, thank you very much, Samus Aaron. I appreciate that very, very much. Good to know that I have an audio engineer who is willing to help me out with stuff like that. It's really great. I can't, like... when I watch other people's like mostly when I'm watching the YouTube channels and videos that my fiance watches, she likes a lot of like DIY and like plant and food related stuff. I'm always complaining about audio mixing and like, oh my gosh, these people don't know what they're doing in terms of the audio is just sort of all over the place. So I can't imagine what it would be like being an actual audio engineer. It drives me nuts, and I'm just a friggin' amateur on YouTube. So I can't imagine how annoying that must be for you. Pour one out for the chalices indeed. Okay, yeah, I almost got stuck in the moon presence chalice. Okay, I think I'm satisfied. That was pretty interesting. I've never obviously seen anything like that because by the time I stopped playing the game, well, I have a lot of stuff here. By the time I stopped playing the game, it's just, you know, it wasn't any of this stuff out there. So let's go back to... Oh yeah, this is supposed to return you to the last lamp. So let's see if it takes us to the hunter... Excuse me, let's see if this takes us to the hunter's dream. Oh, well, Hot Pocket Remix, we all have to... Oh, crud, okay. We all have to start somewhere, right? Like, if you look at my Dark Souls 2 Let's Talk lore, then you see that, yeah, in my case, I didn't have a clue what I was doing either, and the audio in that video is dreadful. I think I should probably just restore my save file, because I don't know that jumping off the edge, would that do anything? I guess, yeah, it's worth a shot. Oh, does it actually? Oh, okay, interesting. Even if you're messing with me, that's fair enough. Oh! See you later, friends! Okay. Oh. Yup. This actually happened to me once in Central Yharnam. I fell through an elevator. This is what it's like to do a PhD indeed. Oh, friend, no! That bloodsucker was so thirsty for blood that it just, yeah. Like, no, wait for me! Oh, it worked! Yeah! Wow, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, okay. They want to wake up and then, please, Aegon, please. So let's remove that chalice. And the next one is, oops. SIK. GC 3SM. I would presume, and you know, obviously I don't know anything about how the coding works or whatever. Like the only thing I know in terms of programming is very basic if-then statements. But I would presume that like there's something in that where, you know, if there's no lamp in the area, then return to Hunter's Dream or something like that. Okay, well, let's see. Again, if it screws up my save file, I have another... Like, I can just restore it, so it's not a big deal. As long as it doesn't brick my PS4, which I don't think it'll do. And if it does, then we will have sent off the PS4 with a glorious Chalice Dungeon. Okay, here we go, friends. What? Oh. Oh! Hello? Squid thing? That's a moon presence, isn't it? Beautiful, question mark, place name, question mark. Yep. So I guess that's... Okay, but I've never seen this in a Chalice dungeon. Oh, that's the Discord name for like Souls hacking? That's actually so clever. I figured it was a door you could open, but I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I want to. I'd rather go this way. Whoa. Is this the skybox from the Nightmare? The Hunters, not the... Which is the one where you fight Amygdala? It's just the Hunter's Night. Is that just the Hunter's Nightmare? The one you get to... No, not the Nightmare of Mensis. Or, sorry, not the Nightmare... Yeah, I can't even talk. The Nightmare Frontier. Is this the skybox from that area? Or is this an unused one? I like how I'm just totally delaying this encounter. Okay, let's see. Frontier's more brown. Yeah, I figured, but... Oh, hello. Oh! Well, that's not fair. I feel like Orphan isn't that, like, it's not that... Or, like, that area's a lot darker. The skybox isn't... There's less hope implied. Okay. Oh my gosh. Iframes, save me. Oh my god, friend. No! 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 Oh, this is gross. Okay. Pardon my scream there. Because... So, I wonder... Is it possible that there were multiple versions of the moon presence depending on, like, you know, how, I don't know. Because it looks, it's almost like the One Reborn got, like that the moon presence and the One Reborn were sort of like related, and then, premature version, it's like, more One Reborn than Moon Presence. But you can definitely see the Moon Presence in it. So I wonder if they originally had an idea, hey, let's make the Moon Presence have multiple different states. And then when that didn't end up working out, they just took one of the states and then made it into the One Reborn. Whoa, it like floats too? That's crazy. It's so interesting. The fact that this is still in the game files, that's amazing to me. It's definitely not completely textured. Or like it's textured, but like it looks like it's a very low quality version, or one that's not completely finished. I'm just panic rolling left, right, and center. It's so graceful at the same time, and like, despite being pretty gross. Well, rip. So is this music? This music wasn't in the final game, was it? Yeah, rough concept idea for the moon presence or an idea for second form. See, what I was thinking is that like maybe if you only used 1 or 2 umbilical cords, that would be the version of the moon presence he would fight or something like that. Oh, this is Tumerian Queen's music. Interesting. Huh. Look, we're not actually standing on the thing here. We're sort of floating above it. Okay, I want to go. I know there's probably nothing over there. Oh no, we can't go through the fog anymore. There's a picture of this area still in the Bloodborne art book. Interesting. Can you just walk around it? No. Okay, so how do we get out of this one? It might have been related to your beasthood level back then. Oh yeah, that's right, Bonnie. I forgot that. That was, well, I didn't forget, but like that's a connection I hadn't considered, because beasthood at one point in time was supposed to be, you know, something a lot more substantial, like there was a risk that it could potentially affect the player, as opposed to just being a stat. This is a restore one. Well, let's try to reawaken first. Nope. Maybe this is... Does it respawn? Yep. Maybe this is the exit here. Whoa! It's a stairway to heaven. I don't know... Oh! Going back to the hunter's dream. Maybe this was a descended version of the moon presence, like probably Lawrence as the bloodletter beast in the chalices. Yeah, possibly. In that, like, because we only fight the moon presence in the hunter's dream. Is it me, or does that room look like Dark Souls 3 stained glass where the dancer comes from? No, it's definitely not just you. But that glass in turn looks like the... I believe it looks like the glass that you see in the cathedral ward. High hit but no geometry, so the collision for a set of stairs is there, but no actual model corresponding to it. Oh, that makes sense. So, in other words, we just went into an elevator shaft effectively. Yeah, this has been so cool. I know for a long time people have been saying, oh, you got to check out all this stuff in Bloodborne, and I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry, I just don't have the time. But I'm glad that we saved this and that I didn't like check these things out, and that was the reason why I didn't want to check them out off camera, because I thought it would be fun to get my reaction recorded for everyone. Oh wait, I think I screwed that up. ARKHV2VS. Okay, and then after this, I think we're going to take another brief break. Let's see, Chamber of the Seal. And then the Trayshman might be joining us. Whoa! Hello? Oh my god. Oh my god. What? It sent me to the abyss? Wow. That's incredible. I didn't want to turn around. I could hear it behind me, but I was just like, oh, just keep looking this way. And then as soon as I turned around, just... Wow. Yep, it pushed me through the floor into the abyss. Okay, we gotta try that again. Oh. Friend! Oh my god. I'm stuck. Not fair! Wow, this thing is so cool though. I wonder what did they have planned for this? What was the context supposed to be? Oh. Hello, Theo Mini. It's very peaceful down here. Okay, we'll try that one more time. This time I'm gonna, like, really quickly try to... The Great Ones had the terrifying ability to no-clip you. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Knock you through floors, get you stuck in doorways. That's how you know they have tremendous power. I hope that you're doing well, Theomany. Okay. Oh. Again, it seems... Wow, it's so weird. It's almost like... It's like hitting you with its mind. It's almost like it's related to the suspicious beggar. I love how there's no animation for whatever that projectile attack was. So it just looks like we're being hit by nothing. Good night, Danger Man Lee. Thanks for joining us, friend. Today and at various points over the last several years. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Hot Pocket Remix. But, and obviously they didn't finish the animation, so it looks like it's just sort of standing there. Oh. But presumably it was supposed to be launching a projectile attack at you. Oh, it's so frightening looking. Uh-oh. Again, probably another projectile attack. This is so impressive, because the one thing that I was always concerned about this game, in the sense that, like, as a PS4 exclusive, and I know that eventually we figured out how to hack Demon Souls as well, but I don't know, I wondered, like, how will we ever figure stuff out with this game without... Oh. Change my weapon. But yeah, you guys all managed it somehow. Projectiles, or bullets as Souls games call them, have travel data and link to an attack and also to a visual effect. Looks like the travel data and the attack data work fine, but the visual effect is missing. Thank you for putting the actually proper language on that. Articulating what I was trying to say in a much more accurate manner. I want to say we've seen this boss from before, and that it's just one of the ones that... But it's been so long since I've done the Chalice Dungeons that I don't even remember. It's a room used for ROM in the Chalice Dungeons ROM. No, I think that's me, Hunter M. Okay, I think we gotta warp back from the boss's toe beans. Oh no. Okay. We're gonna need him to knock us through the floor. Yes! That boss looks like it would have been an ascended Lauren beast. I'm trying to remember which ones were the Lauren beasts. Is that related to the... Hold on, I'm gonna look it up on my phone. It's funny how, like, you know, just 2 years ago, I would have been able to tell you all of this stuff without even thinking about it. Oh, the Lauren beast. That's right. Yeah. And they look so like sickly and just basically made of bones, essentially. But with the lightning attack, so it's like a healthier version of that same type of beast potentially. Someone must have looked up this enemy's internal name. I wonder what it is. Great One Beast. That's what that one's called. Interesting. With the red eyes, and it doesn't seem... So, see, that's very interesting because it does suggest that Great Ones... I guess it depends on the translation of Great One Beast, but it does suggest that Great Ones are, or at least some of them are, susceptible to beasthood. I invited the Trashman. He might still be getting ready for the stream in one way or another. Oh, there's the Trashman.
Hello.
So you saw those cut content bosses that I was just fighting, right?
A little bit of it. I was vacuuming something that my cat spilled.
In other words, Harvey, he spilled something, or he...
Yeah, I took my plant. I had a couple small plants that I put to the side to.
He decided to munch on them.
The dust off, and he decided the first thing you needed to do was to knock them off the table. So, definitely more soil on my carpet than there was in the pots.
Trashman, when I get into this Chalice dungeon here, actually, first, can you explain the Chalice dungeons in general? Like, what is the Chalice? Like, what are the Chalice dungeons? How do they work? And why are they there?
Well, there's a you know, they didn't put him in the game in the end, but he's hidden in the game's code, and it's
Who's he?
His name is Mr. Oh, well, it's like an elder god. His name is Mr. Chalice, and he's got like a whole bunch of cups in this one room. He calls them chalices. Some people call them cups. You know, it depends on who you ask. But yeah, he's kind of like a cosmic entity, and every time he drinks from a different cup, a different chalice dungeon opens up, and even he can't really explain how it happens. But yeah, just Mr. Chalice is responsible for all the chalice dungeons.
What about Mrs. Chalice? XF7?
He doesn't like to talk about her. It's kind of a tough situation between them. They're still in the same chalice house, but they're not sharing a chalice bed anymore. So,
Oh.
you know, there's been some... It's just because he's so obsessed with just keeping his chalices polished and filled, which is hard because when you fill them, they get dirty. So he's always polishing them, but also filling them up. It's just a vicious cycle, and it's kind of like a hoarder situation with chalices. And she said, "No, you know what? I'll share a chalice roof, but I'm not sharing a chalice bed with you."
That's very interesting. But so what goes in the chalices? Like, why are they collecting them?
Like some, I don't know, because they're cosmic entities. It's some sort of like cosmic milk or something like that.
It's beyond our comprehension, in other words.
Yeah, it's like liquid, but as gods, like, you know, if you think of some kind of cosmic god, he wouldn't be drinking like Gatorade. It's not like liquid as we know it. It's kind of like cosmic milk is probably the closest to human language that we can understand.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, like insofar as we can comprehend them and comprehend their motives and whatnot.
Maria asks, is he cheating on her with the Temerian queen? he's kind of like a one woman at a time kind of thing. But to be honest, he's so obsessed with his chalices that he doesn't even pay attention. Like he doesn't even think about women anymore. He's not interested in extramarital affairs, let alone marital affairs, if you know what I mean. Galactic does mean space milk.
Their child is probably Sippy Cup Jr.
So, yeah, he's not quite a chalice yet.
He's a Sippy Cup.
He's still, no, not until you grow up. You cannot be a chalice. You must be a sippy cup.
Oh my god.
It's interesting you say that, Neo Lucky. You definitely hit the nail on the head there, or should I say hit the nail on the chalice, because he does like stacking cups. Maria Gray has a question about the lore behind the doll. The doll was... It's funny how it ended up where it ended up, because it was just another mass-produced commodity, I think out of Southeast Asia, that they would ship over. You know the website Alibaba? They would, just like people in the West would place their own branding on the doll, and then one kind of made its way over, to where you see it today. And we have Amazon to thank for that, I guess, because they ship anywhere, including Yharnam. And the doll, so I guess that's not lore so much as just how it kind of ended up there. But other than that, the batteries on it have run out, which is unfortunate. That's why you never really hear it, say anything. But when it first arrived in Yharnam and was being cradled, it would say things like "Mama," and that like classic baby doll kind of stuff,
Yep.
and the eyes would move, like they would open and close. But yeah, the batteries are gone. It's kind of just like our little rag doll now, unfortunately. So, but it was too late to return it to Amazon, so that's why it's still in the game.
Interesting.
Yharnam Prime shipping, Theomany.
Overprotective townsfolk. They're like, no, it's you, the beast. You're responsible for this. Oh. I assume this is just another player who decided that this is as good a place as any other to go AFK. Trashman, how do you explain the player ghosts? Oh, what? What? Did you see that?
I didn't see anything but the ghost standing where he was standing.
Well, Trashman, how do you explain this?
What, this ghost?
Yeah, well, watch on the stream if you can.
I'm watching. It's kind of sad. He was in the game, but he was kind of like an unimportant character. And then once he died, he kind of got stuck in this labyrinth. So, oh no, you actually just freed him. That's very nice of you.
I guess.
It's kind of like being, when you're a kid and you get lost in a mall and you can't find your parents. It's kind of like the ghost adult equivalent of that. So he died and couldn't find his way out to go to the afterlife, and got really depressed, and then kind of, lost his mind a little bit, and that's why he just stands there just forever. So you just freed him from just turmoil, I think.
He's working on his Kickstarter and halfway fading like Inafune. Yeah, that's like, oh my gosh, that was freaky, because I was like, oh, whoa, I guess this is just another player standing here. And then, yeah, like I went to attack it, which I don't generally do. And I don't think this is in the base game. I hadn't seen this in the base game. Like this weird spiral staircase.
Oh, don't get me started on the staircase.
So basically, well, this is all stuff that in like the last 3 years, people like Hot Pocket Remix in the chat have been like data mining the game. Oh God. And finding stuff like this.
Ew.
Trashman, what's going on here, buddy? What is this?
It's the effect of like when you get gangrene, like let's say you're in in an unhygienic environment and you get an injury and you get an infection and it becomes gangrenous, eventually if you don't take care of that, that's what you're going to look like. So this is kind of it's one of those like the more you know kind of things. The little like educational series. They talked about this. They couldn't show it on air because it was too graphic, but yeah, there's actually a commune. I forget which country, but potentially Guatemala, where there's this little community where there's a lot of these kind of guys walking around. But these are just the ones that had gangrene on their stomachs. There's also ones that have it on their heads and their legs, and it's very peaceful. They have, like
who was so cruel as to design this labyrinth though, where they can't fit through the door.
Well, that's another thing about this commune that is very, very nice, is that all the doors are extra wide, so none of them ever get... Like sometimes, two of them try to go through at once, but so they just have to take their gangrene medication, make sure that the blood sac doesn't get too full.
Christ. What's the point of the make contact gesture?
The point?
No, make contact. You remember make contact?
Oh, the point of the make contact gesture.
Yeah.
Well, you would assume that the point was to help you make contact, but really it's to help you do the opposite. But, that's one that maybe we'll all have to figure out for ourselves.
the way that sack explodes.
It's pretty gross.
Yeah, that's always freaked me out.
That's one thing I always liked about this game was...
how gross everything is?
Yeah, just in how many... Well, I mean, this is the closest thing... Well, I guess now there's that game, I think, The Sinking City, but at the time, for me,
Sinking
this is the
City?
closest to like an... Yeah, it's like an H.P. Lovecraft-inspired game.
Oh,
with a
okay.
lot of, like, eldritch kind of abominations and such.
Right, which, like, when this came out... Well, and I guess there have been other... like eldritch inspired games prior to Bloodborne, but I feel like Bloodborne's the one that did it best, especially with like the inverted or the inverse relationship between insight and frenzy and things like that. This is definitely a layout that we have seen in the Chalice dungeons before. That looks like a cramped casket. Imagine if make contact was equally a rude gesture to the Great Ones. Yeah, you're like giving them the finger.
Someone wanted to know, how do you explain the healing effect of blood vials being smashed on your thigh?
Yeah, even when you're wearing clothes, it heals you for some reason.
Yeah, it's strange because you'd figure that you would just drink from a blood vial. Like, if I want to drink a Gatorade, I don't throw it on the ground or like smack it against my leg. I tend to open the cap and drink it, so I do understand that that's strange, but it's what they call A+ blood, which is a special classification for blood that can seep in through like osmosis. So as long as you get it on any kind of porous surface, it'll absorb. So it's just an enhanced kind of blood that, again,
I love how sometimes you're so convincing with the voice you use that, like, sometimes I'm like, wait, is he actually like speaking from some sort of position of knowledge or authority on this? Call of Cthulhu. Thank you, Memitim. That's the game I was thinking of, but I do seem to recall that it was not tremendous. Or I recall hearing that.
Name of a really good Metallica song.
Grief is effective. Oh, how are your messages doing, Trashman? You got any nice ratings?
To be honest, I haven't loaded up yet. I was going to ask you if I should load up any particular.
How many do you have? More than one?
Yeah, I have 3, and they're all hideous or beautiful depending on your perspective.
Oh, beautiful.
One's called Horse. One's called Toucan Sam.
Oh yeah, Toucan Sam.
And one is just called Hugh.
Ouch. I remember Horse, and I remember Toucan Sam. I don't remember Hugh, though.
Hugh is the lowest rated. I think he was just... we were in the Temerian Labyrinth Lair 3. I think I only put in 3 hours on that character, so it must have been for like some troll scenario or something.
Interesting. This is not a kind chalice dungeon. Yeah.
So which one should I load up?
Load up whichever one. Yeah, whichever one has the most hours, I think.
Okay, I'll go with Toucan Sam then. I think he had a pretty beautiful face.
I've always loved the.
I'm glad.
I'm glad Bloodborne. Yeah, well, it really is. If anyone hasn't seen it yet, because Toucan Sam has only appeared in one. Oh, thank you, Maria. Yeah, I did actually forget about that.
The words of the Crypt Keeper: "Viewer beware, you're in for a scare." That's actually a pretty good laugh.
Oh, I watched that show religiously as a kid, actually. Black Sky
The
High.
Crypt Keeper or the Crypt?
Both.
I just got my first look at Toucan Sam and like, fuck, I haven't played this game in what, 2 years?
No, it's been longer than that, like 3.5 years probably.
Every bit as beautiful. Oh, the bell ringing woman is ringing a sinister bell. Man, for everyone on the stream, I'm going to be really rusty because I think it's been 2 years since I've even picked up this game.
About the same amount of time as me, I think. But like, I've at least played like Sekiro and stuff in the meantime in Dark Souls 3. I keep forgetting which button is for, like I keep wanting to press up to use the button that's on my hotbar. Or the item. Oh, is this a squid? No. Is it? No, this thing was in the Nightmare Frontier, I think.
Okay, I think I got my bearings here to some extent.
Is this? Because it's like not attacking me. Is this the unique enemy? I can't even talk anymore. The Goosebumps dog's glowing eyes are the most terrifying thing in the universe. Don't change my mind.
That was a great part of it. Ruff, 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 ruff. I remember when they like integrate the dog into the song. I'm like, wait, is the dog singing along with the track? It's very confusing.
Wait, so don't tell me that was the... Really? Oh.
One of those guys' names trash the crawly flower plant, like that thing that he's just... I might have missed what you were saying, but if it was that thing...
it was the Chalice Dungeon mole?
Jellyman Spindly Legs is the official...
Spindly Legs? Title. That makes sense. That wasn't... Okay, it wasn't the mole worm. I didn't think so. Yeah, those were the thing. Yeah, the Nightmare Frontier. That's what I thought. But yeah, this is so weird, man. Like how, you know, like this isn't a modded version of the game or whatever, but people have remarkably figured out how to like cut content back into the game, even though it's just the base game. It's supposed to be unused archers in here. Oh yeah, that's what we were looking for.
The heck is that?
We have seen this snake ball, right? No, Smoketown, no need to apologize. That's also, you know, part of the wonderful thing about Chalice Dungeons is that, you know, to some degree you never know what you're gonna find.
That's like a pile of evil spaghetti right there.
Yep. They have like weird parasites on them. Don't be fooled.
I think that if there was a pet shop in Yharnam, that thing would be the last thing to be adopted.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it. I don't see any path forward here, because this is obstructed, I think. Oh, no. Or is it? Yeah, I think this is obstructed. Oh, now I'm stuck. Oh, there we go. I love that. So I guess in the end I was right. I don't know how many of you remember my map of the Dreamlands, the sort of like vertically stacked way of organizing them. But yeah, I suggested at the time that the Hunter's Dream was at the bottom. And indeed, we fall to our death here, and then we end up in the Hunter's Dream. What does the Trashman think about the first Yharnam Blood Minister?
I mean, first and foremost, I have a lot of respect for him. It's hard enough going through the seminary to become a minister, but to then also become a blood minister.
It's a lot of work involved in that.
I personally think it's a strange ritual to baptize a child by dipping them in blood, but there's stranger rituals out there. So, especially the fact that he was the first one. I mean, it was very taboo. It was very unaccepted. And I think now it's the primary method of baptism in Yharnam. So, the Yharnam Blood Minister, first of his kind, first of his name, and all the wiser for it. So, respect where it's due.
Oh, it makes sense, man.
It's very brave work to pioneer in your field, and blood ministers are no exception.
HRSKQ. Tim, to answer your question, we saw the early version of the Moon Presence, or like an alternate version. We saw the Great One Beast with the red eyes. We saw that crazy room that had like 1 million enemies in it, as well as several cut content enemies. Does Yharnam have mega churches like the 700 Club? I think that's what the Healing Church is, kind of.
Yeah, it's like one of those. I think they're called seed ministries, or I forget what the technical term is, but like you're supposed to give them seed money. You plant the seed, and then you're supposed to like reap what you sow. So yeah, they have mega churches just like everywhere else. I mean, obviously less so than the United States, but when the blood minister stands up in front of, the hundreds of families of whose children have been baptized by him, it's not surprising that he's televised nationally, and he's just one of many. And a lot of people from Yharnam really have no problem giving up part of their earnings to give to the blood ministry, because it just, in turn is supposed to come back to them like tenfold. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Makes sense. Yeah, no luck with any of these, unfortunately. Okay, so we got to do a new character here. And I guess it doesn't really matter who I delete, just because I'm going to be restoring to an earlier save anyway. But I'm going to delete Eileen the Crow because I'm not good with her weapons. The side right daggers that she has. Gosh, how have I forgotten the name already? Well, don't eat them. I see you eyeing the green one.
Yes.
Well,
Pale blood. You've come to the right place.
Trashman, what horror author is your favorite? I know the answer to that one.
To answer Mamatim's questions, Jack the Ripper fiction, don't really have an opinion on it, just because I'm not really aware of it, to be honest. I do like the subject matter, so if it's good, I like it, I guess. Horror author, Aegon, what's your guess?
Stephen King.
Nope.
Really? Who is it then if it's not Stephen King?
Clive Barker.
Oh, wow.
Love Clive Barker.
Is it that because Stephen King is so, like, beyond our realm, like, prolific in terms of how much he writes? Is it that you invariably end up writing things that aren't good in addition to the things that are good? Is that why? Because this Clive Barker, he hasn't published nearly as much, has he?
No, he hasn't. He's definitely not as prolific, and he definitely hasn't done, like, he's done also a lot of, like, fantasy and stuff. Honestly, it's not because I don't like Stephen King. I actually haven't read, like, that much Stephen King, but I do know that even in the books that I really loved, like, I mean, it probably being the number one among them, I found I like stumbled sometimes over his writing style, or kind of would go like, "Oh, I'm not sure I like this."
You
I
see
love the
this? You see
stories
this
and I
one
love the
monster,
ideas.
Trash
Oh
Man?
my god! What the hell? That guy looks like he's been in the sun for 200 years. Put on some sunscreen, buddy.
Oh my god, that's the only monster I have saved, really? I guess the rest of these are for lore videos, but sorry, go on.
No, all good. I mean, yeah, and I think I just connect with Clive Barker more. It's a lot more like vile and like taboo, and I just like the writing style better. I find like I love how he does monsters and just like weird creatures and creeps, and so he's pulled together in a very literary style, I guess you could say. I have not read The Stand, Bonnie Dimples, but I own it and I planned to read it. Or I will watch the new adaptation that they're doing of it now.
That is very interesting, actually. Yeah, no, I would have thought it was Stephen King for sure.
That's what most people guess. I'd put him probably like third favorite.
It's interesting. Gosh, I probably shouldn't like spend too much time on this, but like, how could you not?
Making monsters is, I think, my favorite part of this game.
So I'm doing left, left, right. And then just see what
You guys got the skin of a hot dog.
Yeah,
it looks like a hot dog.
It's definitely getting there.
Oh, those ruddy cheeks. Get a little rosiness in there.
That's incredible. Oh,
Hargrade, I totally agree. King in novella form, completely different. Some of the short stories are so good. I love Gray Matter and what was the Mist. I mean, obviously, the Mist is probably like a cliche example, but I love the Mist.
Well, sometimes you just.
Cal,
gotta
you
have
saw the
things
Mist, right?
Misty.
Did you see the movie?
When did it come out?
Probably like 7 years ago.
Probably not. In that
Okay,
case.
I think you'd like it. It was good.
Interesting. This guy.
Oh my god, your guy looks like he looks like Nightwolf from Mortal Kombat. Well, now he looks more like the guy who auditioned right after
Oh my god.
for the Joker and was like, let's put a smile on my eyes. I mean, no, sorry, that's not the right line. He's like, sorry, we've already given it to someone better.
Oh my gosh. Yep, that's that sounds about right.
The Mist movie is better than the book, I agree.
It's gotta be.
Oh my god, your guy looks like it's
There's so many options. Yeah, just left, left, right. That's what I like. Just you pick a pattern, you stick to it. Although I guess then you don't really know what to do in these situations. So just pick something left, left, right.
Well, I think you could do better on the hair, man.
You think so?
Yeah, you had a couple of way better options. Oh my god, he looks like meth Santa Claus with that big blue beard.
I gotta give him a mustache. And a unibrow. Alright.
He looks like a respectable businessman, but from another dimension, like where he's from. This is okay, or he's been
where he's from
so badly about the face.
He owns like an intergalactic like car repair store, something
He doesn't
like that.
Nikolai Tesla and Mikolash.
He's a Smurf human hybrid.
He looks like the Smurf version of Nikolai Tesla.
Oh my god, that's incredible.
But crossed with the Ultimate Warrior as well. He looks like the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, I can see that. We gotta get him some tassels. Okay.
Oh my god.
Left, left,
Oh,
right.
Neil, like I love Monster Factory. It's so I've cried laughing, especially their it wasn't BioShock. It was what's that
Fallout
game
4.
about? Fallout 4, yeah.
You know,
oh my
that's
God.
that has actually tempted me to turn it back on because I don't think I ever created a monster in Fallout 4.
The disease, the level of disease and just awfulness that they put on those faces is worth the cost of admission.
That's probably true.
I wish I could just buy a game where I create characters. I'd be fine with that.
Well,
Like, there's a competition. There's like a vote every day. Like, which one's the weirdest?
pretty much do. Okay, I'm gonna save our progress up to this point.
Oh my God! I didn't know what he was wearing. He looks like a reject from Castlevania.
Okay, so we're gonna gonna save our progress, and then we're gonna do we're gonna do some randomizing. Similar face. Okay, no, we're gonna turn them around, and I'm gonna do some mashing for a little bit here. Oh, I messed it up already.
Are you hiding the face for a review?
Yeah, exactly.
He's got a very serpentine kind of figure to him. I gotta say, I have the right level of stone
Yeah,
for this.
Memitim, well said. He's not racist or homophobic enough to be the ultimate warrior. Yeah, the ultimate warrior is.
Yeah, he's also needs more cocaine.
Oh my god! Yeah, the ultimate warrior was insane. Oh my god! Okay. Yeah. Oh my god!
Oh my God!
This is Ishin Ashina after a bad night or two. Yeah. Oh my god!
Oh my God!
Well, he's doing whatever he can to. Oh my god! To protect his land.
Oh my God!
Okay, no, I'm
Oh
gonna.
my goodness!
I'm tempted to leave it as it is, but and so we saved, and that's the best thing about the character creator in this is that like, this is the reason he needed a Tengu mask, indeed. Oh my gosh, because yeah, you could just keep going forever and like keep saving presets as it gets more and more crazy.
I think your life would be really hard if you looked like that.
Lady Emma said the blue world would freshen up my look. Oh my gosh, okay. I'm gonna turn him around again.
Are you gonna do a little more mashing?
Yeah.
I can't stop laughing. The face is so funny. It's also because I keep looking up because I've got my camera position, so I have a close-up on Toucan Sam, and I keep on looking up and seeing what my fucking monstrosity looks like. I think anyone in the stream that hasn't seen Toucan Sam is going to wonder how it was physically possible to create a face like this, because nothing about it makes sense.
That's, oh my god. Did he eat a lemon? He can't even blink.
Oh my goodness. That is funny.
I'm gonna mash for like another 30 seconds.
That's what I'm talking about. The playing this game is like second only to creating
a character. Yep.
I feel like when we first started playing the game, there would be
for the glory of Ashina.
We'd spend like an hour and a half just like we're both in chat. We're both creating our own characters for like an hour and a half, and then doing the big reveals in game. It was like some of my favorite moments.
But this like from the few frames I'm seeing here, this is getting like out of control very quickly. Okay. I'm tempted to hold on. I want to hide the thumbnails here for a second. I'll use myself to hide the thumbnails.
Codebane has several thousands of hours spent in character creation already. Is Codebane, I'm guessing, a channel?
Because I don't want anyone to see the direction in which we're going, including myself. I'm not even sure I want to see.
Namco Souls.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're ready.
Whoa, hold on. I'm seeing his jaw. I got a quick
Okay.
profile.
Okay, are you ready? Are you all ready for the reveal? I'm not sure that you're ready for the reveal because
Oh my god.
this is gonna break the internet.
Let's do it. Do it. Do it.
Oh my god! Look at his
Come on,
forehead.
Cameron.
Look at his forehead.
He looks like a crescent moon. He looks like Sonic the Hedgehog in human form.
Yeah, this is why they had to reshoot the whole movie. This is basically Sonic the Hedgehog.
They're like, look, this is Sonic.
Oh,
This is Sonic. And the people were like,
no,
it
it's-
looks too human.
it's this is still better than I agree with you there, Maria Gray. It's the kid from The Legend of the Mystical Ninja.
If this if this guy had a wife or a girlfriend, you know how hard it would be for, like, she'd have to wedge her face in between her nose and his chin to kiss him. It. Oh my god, he's got like a chisel out of him. He's got like a horn. Turn him sideways. Turn him sideways. No, hold on.
Yeah, he has a horn.
Turn him sideways. He has like a horn.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible!
Look at that.
Wow.
He's got a horn.
Yo, that's what I was saying. His head is like.
Oh my god.
That's oh my god, I'm like crying over here. I think
also
that
looks like
has to
that
be the
hair, he looks like
haircut there.
He looks like a guy, like, yeah, give me your money, see? Yeah, I'm
Oh
gonna
my
shake it out,
God.
see? The page boy cut's great too.
Oh, which
Oh
one?
my God,
Which
can you
one
imagine
is
if
the
this guy
page
had-
boy cut?
What, the one you have right now?
Oh,
it's
this
like
one?
the Anton Chigurh haircut, like from No Country. You've seen No Country for Old Men.
Yeah. I know
Do you
who you're
imagine if
talking
this guy
about.
had been cast in that movie?
His eyes are so huge. Like
It would have been a very different movie. This is the most important coin toss of your life. You
Okay.
should have cast this guy. Doesn't have the same impact.
okay, I think we're gonna leave it there.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
that's Yosefka. This was supposed to be the lonely old deer because I was gonna make a lonely old deer video, but didn't end up doing that. I don't want to erase my Garaman either. I'll erase Alucard. Okay, this is Sanic made in Soul Calibur 6.
Bonnie, I have to say that Sonic is. I think the fact that I think it's a typo. Sanic. I think Sanic
It's a
is
meme,
probably
isn't
the
it?
closest you could call him. Like that is.
I think Sanic is like his meme.
He's got a very
Reference.
tiny tushy, but a very large head. Oh my god, he's bending over backwards. Oh my god, that's frightening. Sanic the Hedgehog.
Okay, hold on.
That's what I would have named him. I love that, Bonnie. Oh man, but I think his nose. You just made him. You made him a lot more Eastern European with that one fell swoop there,
Oh,
making the Brit.
I suppose we should clarify that the Trashman is himself Eastern European.
Eastern
so
European, yes. So I'm allowed.
that is shout
myself
out
as
to
a
anyone
Eastern
watching
European
from
knows
Eastern Europe.
schnoz. Shout outs to my buddies in Eastern Europe, I guess.
Yeah, I think we're good. I don't know that you can improve upon this anymore.
I think that
Look at
Aegon's
him
new build
peeking out from-
already has. It already has
Oh my
other-
god.
moments after creation. Just because
He is indeed single.
him in that hood. I would not want to meet this guy in a dark alley.
How does
my
he
God.
eat?
He has to eat very carefully. I think eating, so he has to be very careful whenever he's drinking, like anything like water or something from a glass, because his nose, like, or his beak dips so far into it that he could, if he doesn't be careful, he's going to drown himself while he's just drinking a glass of water.
That's a good point.
He's like the inbred cousin of Marge Simpson.
Get wrecked.
I know my nose is big, but I can still stick.
Single and ready to mingle. He's an anteater. He's got a long tongue. Hello, whatchamacallit? I thought I forgot.
Yeah, look at him, he's like,
My sister doesn't talk to me anymore ever since she married that Homer fellow.
Yeah, you said. Yeah. Oh, it's too bad you can't. There's no hair that would approximate Marge.
oh man, if there was. Open
Did I miss
the
something?
gates.
I feel like I'm missing something.
Oh, Central Yharnam. Maybe we can go see the Blood Minister for one of his sermons.
My guy is just. He's got the perfect shade of blue for his hair.
It's also his physique because he's very
He's so slender.
He looks like Jack Skellington. Like in
Oh
body
my
form.
gosh, it's incredible.
Yeah, that
Wow.
hair was the perfect choice.
Whoa, friend! I forgot how this game works. Give me a break. I'm really not good at this game any longer. I was once good at this game. 3 years. Surprisingly, I've forgotten as much as I have. Because I honestly don't
You're
remember.
rusty. I can only imagine how I'm gonna be.
Pretty sure I'm supposed to go back to the Hunter's Dream to get. Oh, that's why I'm confused. They have to go back to the Hunter's Dream to get my weapon, but also, why not just run through the area without using a weapon at all? Because if anyone can do it, it's this guy.
They call me Slenderman.
I forgot how easy it was to screw up your rolls in this game because of the jump
That
controls.
guy's setting you on fire. Not very nice.
Not at all. But it's okay because
It's
nope.
reassuring to me that I remember everything I'm seeing so far.
Oh my gosh. If this is living Jack Skellington, then this confirms that he didn't get the charisma of his until after he died. I don't know who
I would agree.
that person is, but I assume the Trashman
Jack
does.
Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas, the stop motion.
Oh,
skeleton guy.
interesting.
Yeah, he definitely lacked some of that charisma when he was living, and he had a questionable haircut. At best.
Are you trying to say that my guy is a questionable haircut? Is that the implication here?
that as a-
Oh no,
as
I'm
a
dead.
compliment.
Oh.
I thought that was the point. So the interesting thing about these dogs is that they're all rescues. You know, even though these people are out for blood to kill you, they are all Yharnam rescues. They have a pretty robust. Yeah, these dogs.
Pet rescue system, eh?
Yeah, no, they have a zero kill policy. So you know, the dogs that are found, that are cared for, but don't find a home, get put back on the streets afterwards, which is why you're dealing with all of them.
Ah. Wow. Well, today I
It's
learned.
admirable. I mean, you could argue that some of them are pretty pretty vile.
Look at that shot as he's opening the gate. Oh, it's incredible.
That nose. What did your guy use in his hair to make it look so fabulous?
Just good genes, I guess. He woke up that way. It's just his natural look. Okay.
Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline.
I'm gonna go to the Cleric Beast, die, and then return to the Hunter's Dream to get my weapon and the bell. so that I can summon you.
Beautiful.
Oh, crud. Okay. No, stop. I've aggroed every single enemy here.
You're not popular in these parts. I
No.
will agree with that. A lot of people mad at you. But you know why? It's because they're all envious of your hair.
Well, I can't blame them for that because it's pretty hard
Like
to.
when you run by them, they're like, "Hey, what do you do? What do you do to make your hair look like that?" And then when you start running, you're like, "Hey, how do you make your hair look so good?"
Trashman, what did he do to make people so mad?
Just having fabulous hair, you know how it is. Even those
gosh
dogs
darn
are like, "Oh, I wish I have so much hair and none of it looks like his."
Yeah, he really is. I think he's. No, I'd say cooperator, just because he looks so much like one of the blobby thing aliens. One of the.
Blobby thing.
Yeah, you know,
blobby
the Celestials?
What, the gangrene demons?
No.
Blobby things. I can't remember.
The blue aliens.
Oh, right.
The Celestials.
Blue aliens.
Oh, I only get to see my guy's haircut. You have the perfect perm, and you wandered into Shaggy Town. He looks so stern. Maybe it's the
I think
mustache.
he's gonna compliment Toucan Sam very nicely, I think.
Okay.
It's those eyes, too. He looks like so many different things. Like, I'm seeing shades of Crispin Glover in
Yep,
there.
I can see that.
I'm seeing shades of an owl. Definitely got owl-like eyes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. He is.
Give us a quick close-up. Like, go up to the door and spin the camera around. I'd like to just take... Oh, mercy. Oh my god.
He's got a chin and then a chin nose. Or a nose chin.
Just think, how would he wear glasses?
I don't know that he
Can you
would.
imagine how, like, just what his tissue budget must be alone? Like, every time he blows his nose, it takes, like, a whole tissue box.
Oh wait, do I need more insight? In order to... There we go. He is so beautiful. Okay, I think we're good. Okay. So I'm going to... I guess I'll wait for the trash man. Do also need to... Saw cleaver is just so satisfying. It has such a weight to it, especially the transform attack. And I've used it in most of my builds as my starting weapon. So you'd think that I would be tempted to like use something different, but just it's so satisfying. Like, why use anything else? Oh. We are quite the pair here.
Make sure you get a good close look at the face.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I don't have the I don't have the monocular yet. Oh my gosh. Oh, where'd you go? You know? He really does look like... Oh my gosh. He really does look like Toucan Sam. He's got quite the profile.
It's like a beak. You're wondering how your guy eats. How does my guy eat? Like, how are you supposed to shove?
I don't think he does. Or, like...
He pecks at his food. He just eats bird
incredible.
seed. He just, like, pecks at it.
Alright, Trashman, you gotta carry me here, buddy.
Do I?
Yep. Well, I only have five blood vials and 8 pebbles.
Fuck, I forget how you run.
Circle.
Oh, and it's jump too. Okay, I'm really rusty.
I thought you were gonna say I'm really picking here. Oh, mad frame rate drops. Oh, I forgot how bad the frame rate is in co-op in this game.
Remember doing some of the share play, like how broken?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi, friends. Oh.
Well, aggroed.
Oh no! You stole my. Oh no! Visceral attack. No, I'm dead. Oh, Trashman. Oh. Okay, now I can't summon you again because don't have the insight.
Shit, that's not good.
I forgot about that aspect of it. All right, so we'll have to play through for a little bit to get, because there is a madman's knowledge not too far away. Oh, Toucan Sam eats blood. Oh, of course.
Oh, yeah, no, you just...
He is,
drinks it up.
you know, a capitalist thing aimed at children, so that's not that far off.
Do I not have any healing wounds? What's going on here? Wow, do I really not have any healing wounds?
Cutting it close with that build, eh? Well, you could always switch to one of your other ones.
No, it's fine.
I would switch to whichever one you have most time played on, because that one probably has the most in terms of items.
Well, this is the one.
That's the one, really? Wow, Toucan.
Yeah.
Huh. I wouldn't have expected that.
Let's see how my notebook's doing. I've got so I've got Don't Be Fooled, eventually Wondrous Tonsil. That's
Yo.
7. Seduction waits ahead, but it's the Scourge of Tastiness. That's got 4.
That's a good
I've
one.
got 22. Beware of common sense, therefore remember, all's well. Time for Men, eventually nothing but men here.
That, yeah.
Blobby Thing is effective, but it is all thanks to Slimy Thing.
Yep. Yeah, it sounds about what I would have expected given our past.
I think this is my highest rated one. Nothing but statues here, therefore have audience with statue, but it's also been downvoted a lot. There's only
it's controversial.
Here. You have to have an audience with a statue.
Controversial,
that's
that
all.
one.
I guess so. I don't know why, but...
Oh.
So you gotta get some insight? Is that what's happening?
Yes. Do you mind if I try to get in whenever... Oh yeah, absolutely. Anyone is welcome. Oh, I forgot I wasn't playing Sekiro! Oh my gosh. Wow, I panicked there big time. You get into a lot of bad habits playing Sekiro because there's no stamina bar. So you're used to just being able to hack over and over again. I'm amazed that I survived that. Okay, I need to head over to where the insight is.
I was so confused about what button to do. No one. Oh, I was trying to heal. I do have healing, whereas I was trying.
It's triangle, triangle.
No, I know. I was trying to heal, but I was pressing up, so I was just creating blood bullets, like over and over, and all my health was disappearing. So I was so confused. I knew it was the up. I knew it was like the upper one. I just confused the side on which I was pressing.
That's a classic Trayshman. Yeah.
Jumping into holes.
Well, and what's interesting, but what's interesting about that Trayshman is that game I was just talking about, Sekiro. That game, you press up to heal by default. So it's like you knew that somehow, especially you know.
It just felt like natural. Like
that's very interesting.
But
because you obviously haven't played that, but like literally just after I mentioned it, you said that, which is like some deja vu stuff.
Deja vu it up.
Well, that's all you can really do. Okay, I think this is where the insight is. Leave the lonely old deer alone, you stupid dog. Oh no, oh no. Yeah, I know you hate everyone. Except for your son.
Is that the guy on the wall?
No, the lonely old deer. Her story is actually pretty sad. She's very
Yeah, she doesn't have to take it out on you though.
Wow. Everyone's gonna take it out on the stranger. Like you hear the people just babbling about, oh, the stranger, it's the stranger's fault.
Yeah,
it's very xenophobic, the whole thing.
For years when I was a kid, I used to think stranger was pronounced stranger. I wouldn't listen to anyone.
Stranger danger?
Yeah, the same. There are certain things that I got.
You've been caught up.
Beware of stranger danger.
Oh my god.
There are certain things that I got really caught up on word-wise, where I'd hear something a certain way, and then I would get really defensive and upset when someone told me that it was something else. Like, there was a theme song, I don't know if you remember it, for Juicy Fruit, and the lyrics were, you know, the taste is gonna move ya, move ya. But I thought it was Mooga, and I don't know why I thought it was Mooga. The taste is gonna Mooga. That's what I thought it was, and I would like almost get to. It would almost come to blows. I would be really upset.
Oh no!
Like,
Oh no! Oh.
The taste is gonna Mooga. I was like, how is Juicy Fruit gonna Mooga? What is Mooga?
Makes sense though.
Oh, you survived that fall. I'm surprised.
So am I. Oh my gosh! And I'm surprised I survived that.
Oh, those rats are so gross. Can only imagine the parasites that they got.
Yep.
Just like bot flies and...
reeks of animal.
Therefore, animal ahead.
Oh, do I have the notebook? I'm actually gonna... Hold on. I think that calls for a note. Okay.
I do miss the notes from Dark Souls 2. I think that was my favorite. I remembered that app, Soapstone.
Yep. I still have that. I don't know if it... I don't think it's supported any longer. Those with faith will be spared, but oh, tastiness.
And then shake off your cape? Yeah,
Yep.
that sounds about right.
But oh, tastiness. Makes sense.
It's like they got distracted. They were about to make a point.
Yep.
Whoa, tastiness! Mm.
Yeah.
Like, wait, no, finish your point.
It's a good old phantom regen. Ah, Madman's Knowledge. There we go. I know there's another one on top of the ladder that I think is over this way. All right, I'm ringing my beckoning bell.
So should I ding or dong? I'm not
You
familiar
should
with
be.
these phrases beckoning bell.
You should ding.
Okay, I'm gonna ding right now.
I am over by the sewers, but I think it should. It's technically a separate area, I think, but because you are still in central Yharnam, my hope is that it will still work. Now there's an armor set around here. Might be up another level. Yeah, it's funny, like, there are a lot of areas I didn't actually explore in Bloodborne Let's Talk lore. Like, my approach with Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk lore is so much more systematic. But as a result of that, that's part of the reason why it takes so long to make a single episode, because I try to cover absolutely everything. Whereas back then I was much more comfortable with just recording and, you know, not being like just I prepared stuff to talk about, and some of it was post commentary, but a lot of it was just live commentary. So it's funny. Oh yeah, here's Madman's Knowledge over here by the crows. This game really is tremendous after all these years. Oh!
And difficult.
Yep, tremendous and difficult and tremendously difficult. Or difficultly, that's not a word.
Difficultly.
Difficultly. Oh, I didn't mean to jump.
I almost jumped off a ledge by accident.
So you're ringing your bell?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Still searching.
Trying to boom heaven.
The last one took a couple of minutes, it feels like, so just give it a moment.
Yeah, it's definitely... I feel like, which game do you think had the best networking? It definitely wasn't Dark Souls 1 on the 360. That was a nightmare.
I think Dark Souls 2. We always had a
Dark
really
Souls
easy
2,
time
yeah,
finding
I would agree with that. Scholar of the First Sin, at least for us. Uh-oh. Did you die? Yeah, when you're in the exact same spot, so... And I'm technically in a different area right now.
Oh my god, my heart is in my...
You know what?
throat. I noticed it works better when you're in the exact same spot, so... Yeah. I was just trying to kill some time, and I was throwing... I'm at the top of the ladder in central Yharnam, and there's a guy pacing back and forth beneath, so I stood on the edge and tried to throw a pebble at him, forgetting that I stepped forward when I throw pebbles. I flew off the edge, but thankfully...
Oh my gosh.
It was only half health.
Yeah, that's definitely classic Trashman there. Like, whoops.
Yeah, well, like I said, falling off things...
Throwing a pebble, and throwing a pebble at things that...
at the wrong time. Marco, okay, just whatever you do, don't throw this pebble at this guy. Whoops. Like, instantly. How many times?
Can
I unding? Or...
No. I will be coming to you shortly. So...
Okay.
I'm still actually... And I probably shouldn't say this because as soon as I do, it's gonna come back to bite me. I feel like I'm still somewhat decent at interruptions. Or parries.
Oh, I think that might have been your downfalls verbalizing.
Well, but the next thought I had was, well, I think it's actually just much easier in this game than... At least with some enemies, not all of them. Oh no! As soon as I said that. Oh my god. Oh, I'm out of bullets, that's why. What are you doing? Oh my god. Oh, literally as soon as I started complimenting myself.
I told you! I warned you, man! I warned you!
Like, not even...
It took about 10 seconds. The karma to bounce back.
Oh, okay. Well, at least that didn't consume insight. So I'm gonna ring it again. Okay, Samus Aran, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah. There it was, a classical Aegon, indeed. As soon as I mentioned it. Yeah, thank you again, Samus, for your kind offer to do sound things. I really appreciate it. I don't know if I'll take you up on it, but it's good to know that, that a possibility exists. And it's very kind of you to offer as well. So thank you. Hello, Min Min. I hope you're doing well,
Min
friend. Yep, looking good. The two of us, we are quite the pair. Okay, oh, we got someone else? Ooh, is this Memitim?
Oh, I wonder.
Victor.
Hello, Victor.
That is Memitim. Cool. Okay, we need to go get my souls, which I want to say are over here-ish. Oh, that frame rate.
Oh, came in like a blister after the work was done.
That is what you do sometimes. That's okay.
The proper phrase is some people are like blisters. They show up right after the work is done.
Oh my god, the lag.
It is a wild trash man. I am here. Where the hell are you?
Through the building? Yeah.
That's also a classic trash man thing, is losing track of where you are.
Oh wait, this isn't where we need to be. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's clearly a classic Aegon thing as well.
Well, you can't memorize all the maps.
Wait. Did we go... Oh, we need to get back to where the red jeweled brooch is. Glad I could catch the anniversary machine. Thought my New Zealand time zone might make it tricky. Well, that is indeed a wild trash fan as well. Yeah, thank you very kindly, Trashman, for joining us. I don't remember what the button is to slide down. Okay, it's just holding circle. Very grateful to everyone who tried to make time. You know, like, obviously, in an ideal world, I would try to, like, stream at different times so that people in all time zones might have a chance to catch the stream. But unfortunately, just don't have that kind of time these days. So I really do appreciate that everyone didn't mean to do that, although fitting given the thank yous being thrown around. But I appreciate everyone being here in spite of the many different times. Oh, I'm such a noob. Forgot that opens from the other side. So yeah, thank you everyone for being here. Hello from the future. Saturday is great so far, everyone.
It is the future. That's so strange to think.
Hi, Gilbert. Oh,
where did our summon go?
He's doing everything for us, basically. Because...
Oh, is that Memitim?
Yeah. It's... Oh, here it is. Memitime.
It's Memitime!
I really, like, 3 years I've, like, completely forgotten how to play this game.
You and me both.
Oh, the lag! Apologies, everyone watching. I do not have a PS4 Pro. And some pretty dreadful performance issues right now. Which is a consequence of the fact that we are, of course, playing co-op with 2 other people, but I think that... Oh, crud. Again, I got too confident.
Got him.
Thank you to my summons for doing all the work.
You're the blister now.
5 in the morning in Norway. Wow. Thank you so much for being
Wow.
here. That's very kind of you. Okay, we are going this way. No. Where's the fence? We're going up this way.
You have a smaller health bar as a summon, right?
Yes. Also, you're scaled to my level via the password.
So meaning that I'm not as powerful as...
You're not as powerful as you otherwise would be, yes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so worthy of keeping that in mind.
Yeah, don't get too confident. I
Yeah,
think is
don't get
the
too confident.
Overall thesis.
Well, as well as the fact that confidence is, as we know, the devil's plaything.
The devil's plaything. Yeah, but don't want to give the devil anything to play with.
No.
I remember this guy scared the crap out. You let him scare the crap out of me the first time.
Oh, of course.
I played this. There's
Rite
so
of-
many times
rite
where
of
I had, like, a jump
passage.
scare moment.
Whoa. Thank you very kindly, Bonnie. I have to get going myself, but consider this a small wedding gift. Thank you for all the content. Thank you for all the content you've put out over the years. It was a pleasure to meet you and Trashman. Well, thank you very kindly, Bonnie. I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate you for hanging out today. The 5-year anniversary stream. Crazy that it has almost been 5 years. And I hope that, yeah, as many as you who are willing will still be here 5 years from now. You're still hoping.
Someone said, looking forward to the 30th anniversary stream.
That'll be an interesting one. Gosh, how old will I be then? Add 25
years,
years.
like
Oh
60
gosh,
something.
I'll be 58.
I don't want to think about
All that lag. Yeah,
Oh,
you know
I
what they
can only
say.
go on this one.
58 is the new 48.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Memitim did all the work. And now
Oh,
he's
yeah.
making contact.
We went full blister. Yeah, showed up after all the work was done.
I'd say it was mostly me going blister. Well, all the same, Ilka Meta, the fact that y'all made an effort to be here is, yeah, very much appreciated. And that's why I tried to announce it as early as I could. So I'm glad, yeah, that people were able to make it. Okay, so the question is, do we go face Gas Can or do we face the Cleric Beast? I think
we do Cleric Beast, no?
Yeah, let's do Cleric Beast.
Well, once again, Memitim
Yep.
doing all the hard work. I came in
Yep.
like a blister, took the last hit.
You and me both. Don't worry.
Stole the kill.
Okay, so maybe we'll do Cleric Beast and then Gas Coin.
It's Mema time!
Oh!
We got behind you.
Oh my god, that guy.
Got him.
I'm such
Yeah,
a noob.
that guy came in hot. That guy
Yeah.
came in hot.
Well, I should have known that he would be there. Oh my gosh. Well, that's not bad.
Hello! I wish we had carvings.
My guy covered in blood. Yeah, that's one thing that is obviously missing from this game. Alright, let's do this.
Oh, didn't mean to shoot.
I love the idea of you pressing up to heal. Not realizing that
Yeah, just stealing my own health to make blood bullets like an idiot.
is pretty good.
Take this Molotov cocktail, you bastard! Another!
Oh no.
Oh shit. Oh shoot.
Ah, I keep pressing up to heal. Sekiro.
God, he is a. I love the design of the cleric.
The design of pretty much every boss in Bloodborne is tremendous.
Well, that's what really won me over, I think, was overall the boss design. But I think I like the bosses in Bloodborne best of the whole series. Just because they're so... Like, I love mutated nightmare creatures, I guess. Like, weakness for those.
Plenty of that. Oh.
Boom. Peace out. Prey slaughtered.
Wow. That's like the ultimate co-op build, Memetim's build.
It's time to bid farewell.
Well, I can just summon you guys basically right... Actually, maybe I should go... I got 11,000 echoes. Yeah, I'll fight one more boss, but I'll go upgrade my weapon a bit and put some levels on this character.
Did you enjoy Sekiro?
I did. And like, this is something I talked about, if any of the people watching have seen the Sekiro playthrough, especially the finale, you'd see that I have very, like, mixed feelings about it, in the sense that, why did I go to the Great Bridge? I really should have gone to the central Yharnam lamp. But yeah, on the one hand, like, when the game gets it right, it feels amazing to do deflections properly and to engage in these, like, sword duels with these NPCs. But on the other hand, when the game gets it wrong, it can be, like, I don't know, I found it frustrating, but it's also difficult for me to separate my feelings on the game full stop from my feelings on doing the playthrough when I did it, and not really having the time. So, like, any time I dedicated to it, I was basically not sleeping for that time. So each week that I recorded an episode, I would be losing like 4 or 5 hours of sleep. So you know, that certainly, I think, contributed to my... Oh my gosh. I got wrecked. Sekiro felt like a little novella compared to the 8 billion page novel Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 were. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Amazing but bite-sized. You know, one thing I liked about it is how, and again, this is something I mentioned in the playthrough, but how multiple things happen on a single plot of land. Whereas in video games, often you do one thing somewhere and then nothing else happens there, but that's not how land actually works. Like, it's not static and unchanging. Things change. They don't just remain the same. But at the same time, if you do too much of that, then it's like, well, you might actually be just artificially extending the life of the game, you know, or the length of the game. So, I don't know. Yeah, see, it didn't feel short to me, and maybe that's just because I sucked at it, but certainly I felt like, you know, the fact that you're fighting several of the same bosses, like, there's some really interesting stuff that I think you would find interesting in terms of the monster factor, Trayshman. Like, there's this boss called the Shenanigans, which...
The what? What's it called?
Shenanigans. And the reason it's called Shenanigans and not Shenanigans is that if you look at their face, it's actually multiple people, like, mangled into one body. There's another boss called Headless. It's the like, spirits of fighters who lost their lives on the battlefield years ago, and it's literally like a headless monster that you fight, like you do a sword fight with, but it's like, as soon as you come into contact with it, you're on LSD or something. Like, everything goes really slowly. It teleports. You know, you don't have full... So, like, it does interesting stuff that you couldn't otherwise do in a Souls environment, because the world needs to be constant for everyone. So, you know, you can't just have people... one person seeing something slowed down and another person... like, I don't know how exactly that would work, but... So glad I didn't have to fight those to get platinum. Oh my god. Yeah, the headless... I ended up fighting them all just because of the playthrough aspect, but the thing about the headless is that there are like 5 or 6 of them or something like that. I think it's 5. And it's like, you're fighting the same boss over and over again. And like they have a cool story reason for it, but like, I don't know. And the context in which you fight each one. Yeah, for the sugars that aren't consumable items. That consume spirit emblems. All these guys have these different, like, the buff for, oh, crud. What am I doing? We haven't even unlocked the shortcut to Gascoigne yet. Whoops.
So I still haven't been summoned into your world.
Where are you exactly?
Oh, I'm at the lantern that's just, well, where I've been for the last 2 summons. Just right by the ladder.
Maybe, I would tell you to run around a bit. But I am cognizant of the possibility that doing so you might get more lost still.
Or that I will be killed.
Or, well, that is also a possibility, yes. So maybe just give me 1 minute.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm no rush.
And yeah, hopefully, because I'm still ringing my bell, still donging.
The username, it's Sister Fister. That's interesting.
Hello, it's Sister Fister. I have been good. How have you been doing? And I'm super happy to see you on. We are just in the winding down phase of the stream right now. We have been streaming for over 5 hours at this point. But yeah, I am committed to, and I'm just walking in circles as well. I'm committed to at least defeating Gascoigne before we call it an, I was going to say call it an episode, but call it a stream.
Time to call it an episode.
I believe that the armor is around here somewhere. Oh, there it is.
Remember to be wary of Stranger Danger.
Oh.
I definitely underutilized the gun in this game.
Yeah, well, it's like, there's no reason to not constantly be using blood bullets because they're just so darn useful. Okay, I think we need
stronger than the...
No, it's just extra. You're trading... Ooh. You're trading blood vials essentially for bullets.
Oh, I just saw that. I'm glad you survived.
Yeah, I am actually really surprised that I did. Memtim saving me with the extremely clutch mercury spray. What is that? What is that called again? That's Edgar's weapon. Gonna be doing more of these during the month. There is a possibility. Rose Marinus, thank you. There's a possibility. I can't guarantee it though, just because I am currently in the process of editing the first complete draft of my dissertation. The deadline for which is, it's not so much a deadline, but I'm aiming to have that done by Halloween. And I still have, oh, one of my notes was rated fine. I still have a decent amount to do before then. Yeah, I got a fair rating. Well, that works for me. So, yeah, certainly I can't promise anything, but in getting set up for the stream, I was able to finally get my settings sorted and set up everything for streaming in the new apartment because, yeah, this is a different apartment than that which you would have seen in my past videos. So, because I recently moved. I love that Memetim just goes after the pig head on. Well, good to know, Min Min. But yeah, no, I'd love to. The other reason I'm streaming right now is that my fiance is actually out of town. She's in British Columbia where she's attending a wedding.
Oh, one of my notes was just rated fine as well.
People with good taste. Oh my gosh.
My note was time for men. Eventually, nothing but men here.
Oh, but that's a classic, right? Is that the sockeye salmon stuff or something different? Yeah, it's I'm examining I think the way that I have phrased it in my dissertation is that it's an anti-colonial interdisciplinary history of the Cohen Commission from 2009 to 2012 with a particular emphasis on and because it's such a complex subject, not one that you could write an in-depth dissertation about if you were writing about the entire thing, I had to pick and choose the aspects of the commission that I will be investigating. And so I am specifically investigating how he treated local knowledge in general and that of First Nations in British Columbia in particular, who have a constitutionally protected right to fish for food, social, and ceremonial purposes. And that right is in the process essentially of being violated because I don't mean, this is obviously a serious topic, but my guy is and that right has effectively been trampled by the federal government for its support of salmon farms, open net pen salmon farms, which, oh yeah, we should probably go pick up Trayshman, actually. Sorry, Trayshman. I forgot all about that. I thought you were in here. Clearly not 100%, but yeah, by supporting open net pen salmon farms and doing so without adequate consultation of coastal First Nations, the federal government is effectively violating their constitutionally protected right because they didn't consult on the matter, but they are sort of hiding behind the complexity of the issue in the sense that scientific knowledge is thought to generate certainty, certain knowledge, knowledge that is characterized by the extent of its certitude. And yet, in reality, if you understand how scientific knowledge is generated, it is probabilistic, it's not certain. And the more sort of complex variables and situation that you have, the more uncertainty is generated. And in the case of salmon farms, because they are in the middle of the ocean, your character looks a bit like that one blue Muppet. I only wish I got his skin.
Gonzo,
blue,
yeah, he looks like Gonzo.
Yeah. And so because salmon farms are in the middle of the ocean, they, the only reason they're profitable is essentially because they are externalizing the costs associated with the waste that is generated by their operations. So, in other words, all of the feces and the byproducts of the manner in which they raise Atlantic salmon in net pens in the ocean, it's all just dumped into the water, and migrating salmon, wild salmon who are going by these salmon farms will catch diseases and parasites and whatnot from the farms. But it's something that is very difficult to prove directly, especially if the scientists who are charged with investigating such matters are also those who are charged with promoting the industry in general. So in other words, it's a giant mess. And and at the center are First Nations in BC who have historically been not just mistreated, but subjected to genocidal policies by the federal government on the basis of the assumption that they were savages that needed to be civilized. So in other words, we've done a grave injustice to them, and injustices continue to be perpetrated by the fact that we allow ourselves to believe that our legal and scientific systems are neutral and not completely biased in favor of the status quo. So in other words, the inquiry that I'm writing the history of was always going to rule in favor of the status quo, or issue recommendations that don't threaten the status quo too much. And my argument is that it was essentially a hugely wasted opportunity as a result of that. Well, I'm glad you guys find it interesting. Because otherwise, yeah, that's
People are not listening to smart, articulate people.
Oh my gosh.
Peace out. Speaking of, as soon as I complimented you for being smart and articulate, I see you take the elevator back up.
Yep. I was trying to send it back.
Necessarily.
Well, because, you know, it's... And I guess you can tell that I have been writing quite intensely because of how I could just talk about it for hours and hours. And as I mentioned earlier, my fiance is usually the one who bears the brunt of that, of my tendency to want to ramble on and on about. Because I guess it also helps me to sort of think about what I'm writing a little bit more deeply and to prepare myself for its eventual defense. So, yeah, I just need to... There's similar stuff over here with the... I apologize, I'm probably not going to pronounce this right. I've written that word, Maori, and oyster farming. So that's the pardon me if I'm wrong about this, the indigenous people of New Zealand. I think I quoted Audra Simpson. Is she's Maori, right? Moldy? Yeah, thank you, Sister Fister. And so Audra Simpson is one of the indigenous scholars I cite in sort of trying to explain the fact that our legal systems are just not neutral. They're very plainly structured in a manner that,
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them.
Is unjust and unjustified. Oh, Gascoigne.
The creep factor is high with this man. He looks like an old West fighter that went blind and lost his mind.
Well, my dissertation will actually be publicly available once it's been successfully defended on the York University website, library's website, presumably. I do hope to... Because, you know, I'm cutting out in the final version a ton of stuff that otherwise I think is very useful and important context for...
Oh, it seems to me it's enough to make a
understanding what is happening in the rest of the narrative, but it's not absolutely essential. So essentially I'm going to be cutting out a ton of stuff that I might, if I can get a book deal with a university press publisher, then I will be able to add back in a couple of extra 100 or 200 pages of extra content that otherwise will have to be edited out. My nanny on my right side is on a lot of trusts for different IWI and is a bit of an activist, so I'll make sure she sees it too. Well, that's I appreciate that tremendously. The fact that, yeah, I know all of you are here principally for Bloodborne and Dark Souls and everything. The fact that you take an active interest in my work as well is something that I very much appreciate. I think that's probably going to do it though, because I am exhausted.
I'm pretty pooped myself, dishing out all that lore at the
front end
of the Yeah, just really took it out of me.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to. Normally, I would switch the moment the chat.
Guy, he's majestic.
He really is.
He's beautiful.
He is wonderful. I shouldn't cover up his beautiful face with mine, though. Just get it right.
That's
here.
right. There we go.
But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Well, and I very much appreciate everyone for joining. Because yeah, it's been 5.5 hours, 5 hours, 40 minutes. We only played Bloodborne for like 2 hours of that time.
5 years,
Sorry,
5
Nat, flying
hours
my face.
seems fair.
Did I say 5 years? Oh yeah, 5
No, you
years,
said
5.
5
Yeah, I
hours,
guess that's
I'm
true.
saying, yeah.
Oh, well, we can't let it run. Oh, that must have been why my internet just started dying when it reached 5 hours to stream, because it was one of those like symmetry makes the universe crash type things.
Yeah, they were trying to keep you to
5
5
years,
exactly.
5 hours.
Like, oh, okay, well,
And in fact, I think it crashed at 5 hours and 5 minutes precisely. So
whoa.
I believe in the business that's what they call numerology achieved. Oh my
man.
gosh, yeah, I'm out of it.
Well, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, well, thanks
Congratulations on
for
those 5 years.
being on. Thank you to everyone for watching this live, or if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact. I really do appreciate your viewership, and I hope that, yeah, you all will continue watching, and that we'll be doing another one of these streams in another 5 years. I'll be 38
That's right,
at that
plenty
time.
of lore to be unearthed.
Oh gosh. Yeah, plenty of lore to be unearthed between now and then. Hopefully we'll be done Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk lore by then. We'll be doing like Elden Ring 3 Let's Talk lore or something like that. But thank you all very, very much for joining me and for joining the Trayshman today and over the course of the past 5 years. It's very much appreciated. And yeah, again, I hope to see you after another 5. Thank you all very, very much for joining us, and we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.